didn't think everything was gonna be all.
Heyo.
That was.
Elements of the
But-
apartment section of that,
Yes.
yeah, old building. And I think when we went,
So once this.
we kind of missed, we went up. That was kind of more interactive.
Yeah.
We didn't get anywhere to it, so we.
Where? In sculpture?
Inside.
That's good to know. Don't wanna like. So close.
Yes, it really is all the fun.
Hi.
Were you Aaron?
No, temporarily.
That was Bobby Lab.
Oh, what?
Bobby Lab. Were you in the building department? Then maybe. Never.
I don't think so.
Well, was it?
You're okay.
Speaker until I get them.
Yes. What's that running?
Yeah. I know, I just. Put at the names, make sure. Okay. I would say that one, So Christians, no.
How do you saw? All of it?
Screws me, see.
Yes.
But they're paying that price?
August 25th meeting of the Town of Rochester Planning Board. If you would all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, so if you have an agenda, members of the board, there's a file right in front of you. That has a number of things that we're going to be going through either before some of the agenda items, during some of the agenda items, or at the end of the meeting. And then you have the map there as well. So we only have 6 items on the agenda, but it looks like 9 because the first 3 on the agenda are the public hearings. So we're going to go through all the public hearings first. I pledge not to answer any questions. Dave Robbins should keep me honest.
Thank you, Dave.
And to that point, if the public has any questions, try to pose your question as a statement as opposed to a question. And then when we finish the public hearings, we'll leave the public hearings open and then we'll take each of the projects one by one, discuss them and make whatever decisions that we have to make, including closing the public hearing if it's appropriate. So the first public hearing is going to be Goodman Land Holding. If anybody would like to speak about any of the projects, there's maps up at the table by the door and there's a sign-in sheet. So Bill, if you wouldn't mind, is there a sign-in sheet for Goodman? Did anybody sign in?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Would you approach the bench?
The applicants
Three of the three owner applicants and
Okay, great. I forgot to do the roll call. So we'll have Stacy Bond. Stacy works for the supervisor, but it's on loan to us part-time to help with Unicolab conversion, but also to help act as acting secretary. So Stacy, would you do the roll call?
Yeah, Chair Jones,
Here,
Member Nelson,
here,
Member Fetcherin,
he's absent.
absent. Member Duda. Here. Member Farnwald. Here. Member Pinsky,
Yeah.
Member Roberts.
Yeah.
And then, do I say
Um,
Gordon too?
it's Dave Churchill, planner is here.
Okay,
Dave Gordon, the attorney for the planning board is here.
okay,
And the other, Greg is not here, Greg Bowler is not.
Okay.
Okay, all right, good. So then we'll get started. So with the public hearing, as I mentioned, the first one is the Goodman Land Holding project represented by Phil Ager. Mr. Goodman is here. Hi. So if the public, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who want to speak. So if you direct your comments to the board, not to the applicant, please try not to be repetitive. If you all have to say the same thing, but obviously we'll give you time to be as repetitive if you want. If you have statements, paper statements that you'd like to give into the board, that's fine too. Try to keep your comments to 5 to 7 minutes. And like I said, if you have questions, we're not going to be answering questions. I will note them and we'll answer them, not to the person who asked it, but just in general, if appropriate, the board will answer them when we get into the actual discussion of each one of the projects. So if you do have a question, maybe you can pose it as a statement as opposed to a question. So the first person on the sign-in sheet for this project is Wilton Duckworth from Cherrytown Road. Mr. Duckworth?
Yeah, Ivan and Chelsea and Costa and Anna have been neighbors of mine for years. They've known Ivan longer. They're good neighbors. They're planting fruit trees and nut trees. They're the kind of change that we like to see. You know, things that are more agricultural, keeping the land open. So, it's far, from our point of view, they're good people. And we'd like to see them to be able to complete this project.
And you were pointing to the lady to your right, and this is
This is my
Carol.
wife.
Ewing.
I sent you a letter today, I know you got it. And I'm saying very much.
Yes, I did get it, and I distributed it to the board. Yep.
Similar things to what Wilton said, I can read it or
You
not.
can read it if you want.
All right. To the planning board of the town of Rochester. We are neighbors of Ivan Goodman and Chelsea McGowan. We live at 161 Cherrytown Road. The border of our land on Cherrytown Road is about 25 feet from Ivan's driveway at 181 Cherrytown Road. And the back border of our land, which is in Warsing, abuts Ivan's land as well. We have known Ivan and his family since we purchased our home in 2012. We have found Ivan and Chelsea to be considerate, helpful, and friendly neighbors. For a number of years, we have also known Costa, Ruth DeCaris, and Anna Palmer, who we understand are hoping to purchase from Goodman Holding LLC, the subdivision on the land in Warsing and build a home on that land. They are planting fruit and nut trees and hope to care for them, continuing the tradition of farming and land care in this area. We have interacted with Costa and Anna on many occasions and have found them to also be helpful and considerate. We support Ivan and Chelsea in their efforts to comply with planning board requirements on their driveway and complete the subdivision. If there's anything we can do to further support these lovely neighbors, please let us know.
Thank
From
you.
both of us.
Thank you. Do you want to submit that? I have the email that you sent me today.
Sure.
We'll take a copy. Thank you. Okay, next on the list of people to speak is Costa Boutsikaris.
I'm sorry, I think the next two people, we thought we had to sign in. It was just a normal sign.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, the rest of us didn't realize it was a sign in speak.
You don't want to talk.
We thought it was just
We all thought it was a sign-in sheet.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to talk? Okay, is that the true with Ivan? You're the applicant, Ivan,
Yeah.
you're the applicant, same thing, and Chelsea, same thing, sorry about that. All right, so does anybody else want to speak on this project, Goodman project? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, I'm gonna leave it open, and when we finish the other two public hearings, we'll come back to it, so, thank you. The second public hearing is for, is Patty Brooks representing, a project known as Adam and Christina Glasgow. Patty, are there any people who want to speak?
Nobody's on there.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody? Okay. How do you off the hook? And the third public hearing tonight, and again, I'm gonna leave the public hearing open for the Glasgow project. We'll come back to it and just discuss it in regular order. Kyle Falaha,
also blank.
also blank. Okay. Thank you, Matt. You know what, just date it, and I'll put my initials on it.
What's the date?
Anybody like to speak on the Kyle Falaha project? It's a single family home that's being converted into a two-family home on Route 209. Across from the popcorn place, pretty much, right? Got that right?
Skate time. Skate time.
Anybody? No? Okay. Okay. So again, I'll leave this public hearing open and then we'll go into the regular order. Bill, you want to come back? Goodman Land Holding, Bill Akers? And Ivan? Bill, would you hand out those papers? Bill sent me these papers today and I know we have he didn't make the 2-week notification period, but these are papers that we've been looking for from the town of Warwarson for the last month. And we did Bill finally secured them. It's the decision for the project. Right, Bill, what is a decision?
Yes, this is the resolution that the town of Warden Planning Board passed on this.
And the other piece of paper,
And the other is a narrative that Mr. Goodman put together in response to their concerns about the critical environmental area, which this land is a portion of. And so they asked for a little narrative of what they're going to be doing with the property and such. So he provided that.
that was also on file with the town of Warwarson.
Right, it was one of the many things that they had their review of.
Make sure Peter and Helena get a copy, and I'll take one too.
Oh, Rick, it's all musical at that.
It's on here, collect that. And do you have the single page copy?
Yep, we'll be back around with that.
And let me have a copy, and Stacy, I'll give you my copies for the record, although it's in Unicolab, so.
Yes, yeah, I've got those up there. Did you need this or not?
Those are extras for you, Bill. So. Bill, I didn't get a chance to read any of this, I'll scan it right now. Did they make a determination of significance? Is that in the decision?
Well. They
They classified it as unlisted.
right, I was looking for the part where they said something about. Fails.
I don't see any.
Review of the entire record, including seeker short, part one. Classified the proposed action as unlisted. The planning board adopted a
Oh, there it is.
declaration of environmental significance.
Okay, they did do it.
That's-
Thank you.
What they did, yeah.
And then you said that this narrative here is in response of the town of Warsing's concern over critical environmental area, which you're
Yes.
saying was part of the property or the whole property,
Pretty much the whole, property, yeah.
but they were fine with what was being done there, right?
Yes,
All right.
yeah. They did one of their, conditions. Or the condition, and besides just their standard conditions, big fees and all those kind of things. They did request that the applicant provide a notation on the plan regarding these CEA mitigation measures. So we'll probably just kind of boil this down to a little more concise, list of, proposed actions on the property and include that onto the plan.
Okay,
Obviously, that had not been put on there before they made the vote, so there's that, and. Another condition was that will be providing a letter of approval from the town of Rochester Planning Board is how they couched it. And then the planning board chairman is authorized to sign the final plan, once all the conditions above are met.
so Bill, is it your intention of the final map, obviously, to put the items that the town of Warsing wants on there? So far, there's 2 or 3 items that this board wants to be
Right.
on there. One of them is that if there's any change in any fashion to the property in Warsing, particularly if more homes are added, that we expect the project to come back to us as well,
Right,
since we're the egress ingress for the traffic. So that's one thing that we wanted on there. Peter, we also talked about, and Dave, this would be important for the final decision. We also talked about, I think we said that the fire coverage is fine.
Yeah, it's Croxton Fire District and the entrance is off the Cherrytown Road. It's close to them. They would respond.
Okay. So Dave, we just need to note that in the decision that the fire coverage, while it's 2 towns, the fire coverage will be provided by.
The entrance is on the town of Rochester and the Ackworth Fire District, but the property is Croxton Fire District.
Okay.
And they're aware of that.
So Accord will be the responding,
No,
it'll
Croxton.
be, sorry, it'll be Cox. Okay. So that was a second thing that will be in the decision. Does the board have anything?
Yeah, I have a question. Based on a letter of code enforcement officers, should there be plan change for 50 feet per road rather than 20 right now?
Based on the letter from our
Code enforcement officer.
code enforcement officer, he was concerned with the,
Base of the road, is that code enforcement or I forgot?
it was code enforcement, he was concerned with the
With
culvert. Wasn't that what it was? He wanted to do a site,
the base of the road, maybe it was the highway department. There was a letter in the file.
do you have it,
Mike wrote a letter about the road.
about the road? And the road is sufficient, the road is 20 feet wide.
Pull it up.
No, he said 50.
Are you concerned that it wasn't?
Yeah, I'm concerned that it should be shown on a map eventually. Because here,
What should be shown on the map?
that the road is 50 feet, because right now I think it's 20.
no, it's a 50-foot right of way. A road.
Yeah, right away, yeah.
Route 409 is not 50 feet wide.
Okay,
So on the map,
I explain it please, so what did he implement? Right away, where is that portion?
Zuri, he's been dealing with right of ways for years. Right of way is 50 feet.
Okay,
The road itself is 20. The right of way simply says that the owner of the road has the ability to take more land should they need it within that right of way if they need to make the road wider. So the 50-foot right of way is there on the map. And the 20-foot size of the road is there. Correct?
okay, so it's
Right.
basically.
And so that was Mike's concern. I think the other concern he expressed, Dave, check me on this, was turnouts
Yeah.
Every 500 feet.
every 500 feet.
You
So
want a
Peter,
vertical clearance of 13.5 feet
that's the vertical clearance for the truck,
because of the trees.
right? So Peter, that's New York State Fire Code.
Yeah.
So we need,
That was, Warsing determined that if the roadway was 20 feet wide, that it does not require the turnouts. and then pull outs, turnarounds and things.
All right, you know what, I think you're right, because normally, a lot of times, these are private roads. They're 16 feet
Yeah.
with 2 feet on either side of a berm, whatever you
Right.
want to call it, so we ask for turnouts. But if it's 20 feet, I think we're fine. Okay, we're gonna let it go. We'll go along with not go along with, but that's what we've done in the past. When it's 16, we ask for an additional 2 feet on either side, and a turnout, but it's 20, so that should be good enough. Anything else on the board?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Bill, with respect to the CEA, the main environmental value of the CEA is habitat and habitat connectivity. That's why it's a CEA.
Mainly the connectivity, I believe, between, the Catskills up here and Shangham's over here. And it was one of the primary areas that's still connected through, that wasn't all developed in that corridor, yeah.
And in order to get past that problem, you've got a bunch of conditions, one of which looks like the biggest one is just tearing down the fences.
Which has already been done, actually. There used to be, historic old barbed wire fences around the whole property, and Ivan's removed all of those. So it's better now than it was before, as far as being able to allow the animals.
Are there any other actions that you've committed to do to deal with the CEA?
Other than removing the fence, and it's gonna be they've got a conservation improvement project for forest health, selective thinning, invasive species removal, and we'll have some orchards which will not have any deer fencing around the orchards. They're just using tree tubes to protect the trees.
Now, are these a stated condition of your approval? They listed here?
Yeah.
They are?
They're referenced, but they're not listed.
Yeah, they didn't specifically spell out these things. They just said, well, based on what you said here, we want to see that referenced on the plan.
Are they on the plat?
They're not yet, because they I just got their resolution that said that they want to see them on there, so, yeah.
I just got this an hour ago.
So to explain to the board, a CEA, a critical environmental area, is usually passed by a town board for the purpose of protecting some environmental resource or asset or some, in this case habitat, but it could be something else. And it's actually less of a classification than it used to be, where it used to create a presumption that it was a type 1 action. Now it's just a kind of a thing that, you're supposed to pay attention to, and I won't even get into the regulations, but the bottom line is in Warsing, they made certain representations to deal with the potential impact on the habitat, and starting with tearing down, let's say 10 miles of fence or something like that, miles of fencing and other things. So this board might want to take all that into account one way or the other in terms of your own declaration of significance, which we have to do because this was an uncoordinated action. So we've got to go through the same thing that the Warsing Planning Board did, and including the possibility of taking the conditions that they've stated and putting them down in black and white. Whereas it doesn't appear that we're quite that far along with respect to the process in Warsing. So it's something we want to do.
Go ahead. Dave,
So the CEA was an outcome of that natural heritage plan, right?
that John Nicholas.
They helped write this.
Yeah.
It's not in Rochester, the CEA, it's explicit for Warsing.
Seeker knows no boundaries.
I understand. I'm just clarifying, it's a feature specific to Warsing. It was a greenway connection. It has a number of resource values to try to connect the Shawangam Ridge to the Catskills.
The board can also take into account Dave's observation that all these habitat values and connections are in the other town. You can adopt.
But it is, but there are,
Ownership of that one way or the other.
but it was advocated, it's by a number of people, been for some time. My understanding is its features include scenic and others,
Okay.
as a connected stretch of land between two prominent landscapes.
With respect to this
So
parcel,
we'll probably, you're gonna, in your, unfortunately, because it wasn't coordinated in your secret decision,
you might have to factor some of this
It's not
in.
mine, it's the.
It's not on the speak of the reg.
Okay, so, talking about secret determination, but before we get to the, I'll pass these around. Hold on to these, we're gonna need them a couple of times tonight. These are the, part twos, the impact assessment, just pass those around.
And remember, when Rick reads these questions, it's not specifically necessarily whether we're doing a positive or negative declaration on each of those things. Strictly, if there's a potential moderate to large impact, it's the sort of thing where we can ask more questions, we can ask for more information. Ultimately, that would get resolved in part 3. So if you do have further questions on the habitat or anything else, including some of the things that Dave referenced, you can still say moderate to large, and that just puts us into a situation where we're asking more questions. It's not necessarily, although we use it as a kind of a handy guide. If you answer all no, it becomes a neg deck. If you answer yes to something, it doesn't necessarily become a pos deck. It means we ask more questions, depending on what it is.
So Bill, I've asked you this before, I just want confirmation again. The Wawarsing, since they have a larger portion of the parcel, they of course would be signing the map. They anticipate that we're gonna be signing the map too, right?
I don't know if they anticipate, I don't think that they would have a problem with that. But when I left them, what they stated in their resolution was that they didn't expect a full review and subdivision approval from your board. What they expected was a letter saying, we've looked at it, we don't have a problem, go ahead. That's what they were expecting, I
Well,
believe.
that's not what they're gonna get.
Well, that's what they expected, that's what they
And
expected.
that was Mary Lou?
No, that was the board.
Okay.
Okay, so what they're gonna get, and you need to tell me.
Mary
if this-
Lou made some faces.
You need to tell me if this is gonna create a problem. But I expect that this board is gonna sign,
Yeah,
on behalf of the board, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sign the map.
yeah, I don't anticipate that board would have
And
a
there'll
problem
be,
having it
there'll be
on
one or
us.
two conditions that will be on that map, including a reminder of who's covering it for fire protection. Having to come back to us if any other changes were made. I don't know that we need to make a comment about the CEA because it's not, I know that seeker is wide ranging, but it is in the town of Washington. It's not in Rochester, but if the board finds that it's of the concern to them, then we would have to put something on the map. So those are the two things I can think of that would cause me that we're gonna sign the map. Okay, so I hope that doesn't create a problem. Then we try the route of just giving you a letter 2 meetings ago, and that didn't fly. And maybe it shouldn't have flown since they didn't do a coordination with us. It would have been easier if we had a coordination. So what I'd like to do now, since we still have the public hearing open, and typically what we would do, hang on, Zorin. Typically what we would do is now go through a determination of significance to determine whether it's negative or positive. So I'm gonna go through the 11 questions in a second. Zorin?
Yeah, I'm trying to in my mind to justify what we're doing for secret. I'm not quite understand. The property in as a town. What we have to do with except that little piece here. So we're doing secret, was it to at least the portions that belongs to Rochester?
So what are you asking me?
He's asking you if we are doing seeker only for the portion in Rochester, or are we doing
Yes.
seeker for the entire?
No, only for Rochester.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just go through this. You will have a copy again. Don't mark it up, or if you want to, we're gonna have to use it 2 more times. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adapted land use plan or zoning regulations? I'll go through it. I'll tell you what I think. If you disagree, let me know. No or small impact. 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use? No or small impact. 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No or small impact. 4, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? The CEA in this case is specifically in the town of Wawarsing. I too was on that committee that Dave was on. And it didn't impact Rochester, so I'm going to say no or small impact. 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No or small impact. 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy? No or small impact. Will proposed action impact existing public or private water, public or private wastewater? No or small impact. 8, will the proposed action impair the quality, character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, aesthetics resources? Bill had given us a SHPO report some time ago, 2 meetings ago, I think, and SHPO reported back to us that there was no impact, so no or small impact. 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage? No or small impact. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources for human health? No or small impact. So, anybody disagree with any of these?
No.
Okay, so we answered in every case, no or small impact. So based upon the information analysis above and any supporting documentation, proposed action may result in one or more, nope, that's the wrong one. Check this box, we've determined, and we will check the box, based on the information analysis above and supporting documentation, if any, that the proposed action will not result in any significant or adverse environmental impact, that it knows a negative deck. So I'm going to go around the room for each person, because we have to vote individually on this. So Stacy will go to each person and they'll either vote yay or nay. A yay means negative impact, a nay, no. What does a yay mean? Negative impact? Whatever we want it to be.
Make the motion.
We make the motion that it's a negative you make a declaration of negative impact. Yay is you agree, nay is you disagree. Peter?
Yay.
Alina?
Yay.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, yes.
Aye. Aye. So 6 ayes to the negative deck and 1 absence. Okay. So with that, we've done the determination of significance. And I'll entertain now a motion to close the public hearing.
You make that motion.
Peter makes the motion to close the public hearing.
Second it.
Alina seconds. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? So 6-0, 1 absence. So the public hearing is closed. And what we'll do is Bill will have, on September 8th, we'll have a decision for you. I think it'll be fine. And we'll approve the decision at the next meeting. With some exceptions, it's typically our policy not to do the decision at the same meeting that we do the public hearing. And the happenstance that the public comes up with some major problem, and I don't want to be presumptuous that they will or they won't, so we just don't do them. All right, so you're in good shape for September 8th. If you don't mind coming back, we'll put you at the beginning of the meeting and look at the decision. Dave, you'll do the decision.
Do you want the mitigation measures for your decision?
Mitigation, there is none. There
The
are none.
CEA one.
Let's see.
I
think it should.
man, I speak.
You-
I
is
think
this-
it should.
Yeah, but
Is this gonna be a typical decision or is it something shorter and unique?
no, typical decision
Okay,
with a list of documentation.
okay.
But I'm not sure I understand your question about
Well,
the
they're putting-
CEA doesn't affect us, the town of Rochester.
Right, but you're gonna sign a map that's got mitigation measures.
But I'm gonna make
The
it
other
clear that
town
my,
ones.
I'll make it clear and the decision should make it clear.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I understand. Make it clear that I'm not stepping into the CEA because we're not doing a review of it.
I think
We're only,
No, why can't we just incorporate the conditions here in our decision?
we're not
CEA.
incorporating the CEA, but we can incorporate values of the CDA or the holdings into our decision. I don't see a downside to that.
all right, if you make mention of the CE, how about we acknowledge the CEA document from the town of Warsing, and we include that in the decision. We just acknowledge it. But we're not,
Bill, you're turning this actually in the notes on that.
Yes.
The narrative,
Requested, yeah.
you just shoot me the note when you
Yeah,
get a
I'm not
chance.
planning on
Right,
putting the whole narrative of, what's going on with the land and what they're gonna,
well,
I wasn't planning on putting this whole thing onto the map. We're just gonna kind of boil this down to some key points.
when you boil, can you
Sure.
email it to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the,
you can put it in the
Decision.
decision, but only as an acknowledgement, not as,
right.
we didn't do a study of it. I want to make it clear.
Yeah, but there's some performance criteria in here that I agree with Dave that I think should be on the map, and so,
It will be on the map.
yeah, so I think we're good.
Okay, good. You're done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Even though leave the public hearing open.
I closed the.
Close it.
We voted on it.
Make motion.
Did I vote on it?
I said
Did you
it.
vote on it?
I mean, motion-
Yeah.
I thought those.
Usually it's
You
you,
made
Tony.
the
I-
motion
I
and
thought
we
those
voted on it.
the neg deck. No.
We did,
No,
and I
it
did.
was after that.
So Stacy, hold on to these. I have to sign this.
Okay.
What you have,
And I'll
right?
either
Today?
later, or I'll do it.
It's because you have it every
I
day.
have to check boxes. and I'll sign.
So when somebody asks me what I have, I know what I have, yogurt, and
Okay.
rules,
So-
and some fruit.
They should actually be part of the decision.
Oh, okay. Included with it.
Okay, Adam and Christina Glasgow. Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the policy. So.
Okay, so we had the public hearing just now. There were no comments. Patty talked to us in particular. Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Do I have the most recent map? It was a map you delivered a week and a half ago.
Yes, we submitted two separate maps, as we had discussed at the last meeting, and we submitted the smaller maps.
Right.
I tried to make them different sizes so that they would be easily extinguishable. The map that has the two revisions on it is the map that will get filed with the county clerk. As we discussed at the meeting last month, the map gets very busy when you put on all of the slope analysis and the core forests and the soil types. So the smaller map, the board requested last month that I submit a consolidated map, because previously I had submitted individual map, one of the core forests, one of the, and it was a request that I show all of it on one map. So we have done that, so that you have that for the record.
So Dave, help me out here. I've signed a lot of maps. I just assume that the maps I've been signing were included things like slopes or forests. Question one.
I think you've had a mix.
Okay, does it matter to the county?
No, it doesn't matter to the county.
What do you believe in, Dave Gordon? What do you believe?
I believe if it's an important part of your decision, filed map should at least have it as a note.
I have one as a note.
If there's there's some important condition.
Like
Okay,
there are slopes.
Right, if, as an example, you have to literally show it on the map, maybe not, it's the interest of keeping the map clear. But it's your prerogative.
all right, so I'm gonna come back.
But you have a mix, you've had a mix of maps, so. In my short time.
All right, so we'll come to that in a minute. With the wetlands, Dave and I had a lengthy discussion about wetlands. Last time that Patty was here, we also had a lengthy discussion. And in reading the code, the question was whether or not the wetlands need a buffer around them. And in reading the code, yes, all wetlands, whether they're state or federal, according to our code, needs the buffer around it. So that's easy. The buffer needs to go around it. Okay.
And that had been added, I believe in my response memo, I also listed the section of the code that had that requirement. in it.
Right.
Yeah, it says it all.
And then the bigger map that I have has the buffers on it.
Has the buffer on it, yes.
Yep, okay. So let's talk about so Patty, explain to me again why all the slopes and everything on the little map becomes busy on the bigger map. I'm assuming you're not sitting there with pencil and crayon and.
Right,
and-
no, because when we shade, the only way to show the slopes is to shade it.
Yes,
So you're shading it in different colors.
yes,
And then when you file a map of the county, it has to be in black and white because
Yeah.
it goes on Mylar.
yes, that's,
And all you end up with is a blob of gray and black.
okay,
So you can't read what's underneath it.
okay, that makes sense.
So if, again, as Mr. Church pointed out, if we were disturbing steep slopes,
which we're not. So the whole purpose of this map was to prove that we're not disturbing steep slopes and that we do have the right density of under 10% grade, and to show where the wetlands are and to show where the good soils are. So that part of your decision making, if we were impacting anything needed to be mitigated. At that point, that is when it would be shown on the map that gets filed with the county.
And moreover, at least in terms of slopes. None of the houses on lot one and the potential house on lot two that we asked you to add are anywhere near any of those slopes.
Correct.
So even a less of a concern. So the map that I signed in this case, Patty, should be what it looks like the
Yeah.
launcher map.
Yeah, and then we also did note under the zoning table that portions of lot two contain core forests as per DEC, and that portions of lot one and lot two contain soils for farmland of statewide importance. So that also has been noted on the map.
On the notes,
Yeah, underneath the zoning tables, we had several notes.
I see those, okay. Okay, anybody from the board have any comments about this?
I have a comments because in my mind, it's engineering the typical convention. So if Rev 2 essentially overrides Rev 1. So if there is a Rev 2 on the map, Rev 1 is no longer considered. That's what I don't understand that what.
We can put revision 2 on both of the maps, Lorraine. I understand what you're saying totally. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Again, I was
because-
trying to distinguish the maps as being separate, so
Right, so it's gonna be, yeah, then it will be equal.
I
right?
understand.
Okay, so let's just do that, then
Absolutely.
make the notes on the dates of the revisions comparable, even though the maps are a wee bit different. I understand the rationale behind them being different. And it makes sense, okay? Anybody else?
But it just, I'm just curious, so they're still filing a Mylar nowadays?
Yes, they are.
Okay, anybody else? All right, we're still in the public hearing. Anybody from the public? Let's do the determination of significance. I'm not gonna read through them all again. You all know what they are. Does anybody have any of the items 1 through 11 that they wanna suggest that it's a moderate to large impact may occur? Feeling here that I'll consider all of them to be small, no or small impact. And so I entertain a motion to neg deck this project. A yay will signify you agree, a nay, you don't agree. Stacy, would you go around the room and call the roll on this?
Get a second motion.
Second the motion.
Second of the motion. And let's just go around, I'll go around the room, you can just know. Peter,
Aye.
Helena,
Aye.
Jen,
Right.
Zorian?
Aye.
Aye. Yes. When we do seeker related votes, they have to be done by person. We can't do it en masse. You have to do it by person, that's why that happened. Let me just make a note on this. Okay, so we have a neg deck. I'm gonna entertain a motion now to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Lena makes the motion.
I'll say.
Dave Roberts seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? 6-0, 1 absence. Okay, Patty, the same thing. We'll have the decision for you for next meeting.
Okay, and also I will add the 100 feet around the well for the final map. I believe that was the only other.
We don't hear from next time, but when you give me the final map, make sure all of everything is synced up,
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
And Dave, you'll take care of the, I think we pretty much have a decision. Stacy, I'm gonna see this for you. Also.
No.
As the, that form and also the next week.
Okay, thank you, David.
And again, at the end of the meeting, I'll sign
We'll
stuff.
sign it. Okay.
Okay. All right, the third item that was a public hearing was Kyle Falaha. And this one we did do a decision. Just to be inconsistent. And in your pile that was at your place. About halfway down, there is a decision. But first we have to do, we're still in the public hearing. Anybody else want to speak on this project? Okay, so if you remember this, we're gonna do the deck in a second. If you remember this one, it was the single-family home that was converted into a two-family home with prohibition, strong prohibitions against any kind of business being operated out of there, Matt. And it's a two-family, it's not a three-family. And that it is for long-term rental, not short-term rental. If it was short-term rental, it would be a totally different use declared by the CEO. So I'm not gonna go through all 11 items here on the part 2 for the short form. If anybody has any concerns that there may be some of these items that are moderate or large, please let me know now. Give you a minute to look at it.
Where's this thing to that?
You're fixing the thing.
Oh. That's right, we switched it from we had unlisted, but it's a type 2, so we don't have to do this.
Well, you're doing so well, you keep.
I'm doing so well. The seeker gods will be happy. Are you happy?
His happiness knows no bounds.
Do I go to jail if I go through the process?
No joke.
Because secret knows no boundaries.
Will be unpleased.
You'll make that cut to
So then,
Because it's a walk in the secret universe.
I got it. Okay, so I apologize. We will not do it. Thank you, seeker god. So where does that leave me? We don't have to do seeker. Now I'm lost. Let's close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Jen makes the motion.
I second.
Helena seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 absence. And now we're gonna do the decision. Matt, you have a copy of the decision there? No. Well. Okay, thank you, Marie. All right, so, I'm not going through the whole, document, which has, not done that in a long time, except if there's really important items. So you know what the project is about. This is a special use and a site plan. It's been with us, frankly, since July of last year. There were numerous missteps with this one. But in any case, on page 2, bottom of 1 and 2, Dave Church listed all the documentation that we received. Middle of, or 3/4 down, page 2, the notice of public hearing was properly posted. Hallelujah.
We gotta, I filled it, we gotta fill in number 4. No comments were made during the public hearing.
Okay, you'll do that, David?
Done.
Okay, thank you. And then in the findings, Dave, you have something there. Confirm this after hearing. No written public hearings, right? Nothing has been received on the
No.
project.
Okay, so
I
that's
received nothing in the office.
okay.
Okay. And then we go through the general conditions of approval. They're the usual suspects. Talking about payment of all fees. Matt, on the issue of fees. We didn't collect any escrow fees because Mr. Falaha had paid a total of about $700 to get nothing. And so I've asked the supervisor, I haven't gotten an answer, if we could waive the escrow. The only fee that we have is for the preparation of the decision. But he already paid $350 and $350, $700. His first appearance and an appearance before the ZBA, so I asked if we could waive it. Doesn't make any sense to, he didn't get anything for his money. Right. So I think it'll work out. If it doesn't, I'll be back to you to ask for whatever Dave's charges, and it's not much. It was pretty quick and pretty easy decision to write. I am going to read the specific conditions of approval on page 4. And then I'll let you know when I get word from the supervisor in the escrow. Number one, the subject use shall comply at all times with town code 140-20H relating to the illumination of the property. Two, applicant has stated that the dwelling will not be for short-term rental, and this will be for long-term rental and or owner occupancy. Three, this approval does not authorize the use of any portion of the two-family dwelling for short-term rental. Four, this approval does not authorize non-residential use of any portion of the subject property. Mr. Falaha knows if he wants to do that, he's got to go back to the building inspector.
Numerous times.
He knows that. Five, the occupant shall use only the driveway and the 3 designated parking spaces and shall not park along or adjacent to New York State Route 209. Driveway access to Route 209 remains unchanged. Should access be proposed for modification, owner must, not should, must return to the planning board. Dave, change that to must.
Okay.
For site plan amendment and should coordinate with the New York State Department of Transportation on any necessary permits. 7, all these specific conditions map must be recorded on the final map for my signature.
Yep.
Okay. And then I'll read the remainder of the items. The Town of Rochester Planning Board further grants authority to the chairman to certify that these conditions have been met, at which time the chairman is authorized to sign and date the plan without further resolution by the planning board. Town of Rochester Planning Board further grants authority to the chairman in consultation with the town planner and or CEO to approve minor site plan changes of a ministerial nature which may arise due to unforeseen circumstances in the project site development. The site plan approval and or special use permit shall remain effective as an authorization to establish the use for a maximum of 1 year from the date of approval. Planning board shall have the authority to grant an extension within the 1 year time frame in writing, provided the applicant has diligently pursued the implementation of the plans. Such extension shall be granted in 6-month increments up to a maximum of 4 increments. Absent such extension, the site plan approval and or special use permit shall be deemed to have expired after the 1 year. David should say after the 1 year period. Effective approval, this site plan approval and associated conditions shall be binding upon the applicant and all successive owners of the land, so long as such use or uses shall occur. 2, signed decision shall be delivered to the town clerk within 5 days of said decision by the planning board. 3, the owner has the responsibility to deliver 4 final maps, site plan maps, to the planning board office for signing by the chair within 30 days of this decision. 1 map will go to the owner, building department assessor, and the planning board file. Draft resolution was prepared by the chairman and or town planner, was read and discussed as needed by the planning board in a public meeting at the time and place of adoption. I'll entertain a motion to approve this special use and site plan.
Make a motion to approve the special use of the site plan.
Lena makes the motion. Soria. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Aye for the chair, 6-0, 1 absence. And Matt, we're done. Thanks for good to go.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Matt. So this one, we'll just wait for Dave to give us, he had to make a few revisions. So we had to make a few revisions. Okay. Mr. O'Donnell. So in your pile, about 3/4 of the way down again, is a certification for the O'Donnell Lothlorien LLC. Remember, we spoke last time about that in regards to the Lord of the Rings. There is a map there. This is a lot line change. And this is the decision for it. We talked about it last time. And Bill, it has the usual need for a note on the plat regarding the significance of this. change.
I don't know what, significant.
So that there's no intention to give approval for any kind of subdivision as a result of this.
Yeah, you're talking about the standard approval block for lot line improvement in town of Rochester? Yeah.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay, yeah.
All right, I'll give you, Surian will give you his copy. All right, and then there's also the comment that we need to get a copy of this back from the Ulster County Clerk. After you file it, get it stamped and signed. You need to do that within 62 days of this certification. The owner shall have the responsibility to return 4 Ulster County certified copies of the plat to the town of Rochester within 30 days of filing. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve this lot line improvement, unless the board has any questions.
I'll make a motion.
Dave Roberts makes the motion.
Second.
Peter seconds it. All in favor? Anybody opposed? The chair votes yes. 6-0-1. You're done.
Well, that was great.
Dorian, could you give Bill a copy of the certifications? It has to know them.
Yep.
And. Okay. I have to sign it later.
Okay.
All right.
Hang on,
Next project. Landon,
I'll add it to the file.
Cindy and Jack Dawson, Landon, Cindy Landon and Jack Dawson.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, there's a series of maps down near the bottom of the pile of maps. And there's also a copy of emails that I received from Cindy, I guess it was over the weekend, yesterday or Saturday, asking for waivers with regards to this project. And just give me a moment while I get my folder out.
Is this the same? Oh, no. Survey.
So there's 2 maps there. One is a lot line map. The lot line is required since the parties own 2 of the lots.
Yeah.
That are right next to each other. And the other map is for a site plan, because they want to build a house. It's not a subdivision, but it's a site plan. They want to build a house. That pretty much models where the existing house was. So just with the lot line, you don't have a lot line decision. However, in our code, our plan reminded me that we have 63 days, Dave, from the submission of a lot line request to make a decision about the lot line. So we're bumping up against that 62 days, unless the applicant agrees to extend that. So while we don't have a certification, we'll have it for next week. But does anybody have any questions about the lot line? I don't think we do. It's makes sense. It's still, the lot's still not compliant with the code. It's 1.6 acres instead of 2 acres, but it's better than it was. So Dave, if you would just get the lot line certification done for next time, the 8th. We can get that out of the way. Okay, now the fun begins. So Dave and I shared with Cindy Dave's analysis of the project. You also have that in your pile of papers. Halfway down in the pile. It's in there. And so Dave and I spoke at length over the weekend about this project. Or project. And there are some things that are being asked to be waived by the applicant that we can do. And there are some things that are being asked to be waived by the applicant that, according to the strict reading of the code, we can't do. Because they're actually changes to the zoning code. And this board can't waive zoning matters. Things like, let me look at my notes. Things like the flood hazard zones, stream buffers, building in a stream buffer, or the flood overlay zone, which is something new in our code as of last November 2024. So there were actually 4 waivers that were being well, would have been 5, but there are 4 important waivers that are needed. The one waiver that the applicant asked for, which Dave feels comfortable in granting, because the project is what he termed a pre-existing non-conforming use. The house that was there prior, and which footprint the new house is being built on, they're asking for a waiver of the front line setback. The area, an R2 area requires 35 feet of setback. They have 30, but that's exactly what the existing house had. So Dave felt comfortable saying, okay, that's not going to be a problem, even though it's a matter for zoning, but it's just covered by the existing house. So we'll do that before the evening is out. We'll talk about the waiver and do a focus vote on that particular waiver. But the other 3 waivers that are necessary, and let me see if I can go through them, Dave. Catch me where I get wonky here. One is a flood hazard zone. So flood hazard zone, and this project sits in the flood hazard zone. That's determined by FEMA. And unbeknownst to me, and perhaps to the rest of the board, to everybody perhaps, except for Dave, our CEO is responsible for granting waivers or making a determination of whether or not a floodplain, something that's in a floodplain, as determined by FEMA, requires his waive, requires his action, or doesn't need his action. An example of this, well, this is a good example of it, but another example would be where somebody wanted to put a driveway across a FEMA floodplain. I always assumed that it was a DEC had to do that, but apparently the DEC grants the ability for certain towns. I don't know what the criteria is, but this town has been granted the ability to make the waiver, but it's to be done by the CEO. Not known to me, until informed me of it. So we're going to have to make a referral, and we'll make the referral to the CEO to get that. Dave, keep me honest here, and Stacy, keep me honest here in terms of the things that we're going to do. We'll make the referral to the CEO to get him to make the determination. I don't know that the current CEO has done a determination in his short stint as CEO. So we may have to give him, you may have to give him some guidance around the rules. There's a whole set of rules in order to do that.
Right, I'm very familiar with it. I've done it several times. It's based on how much, like a driveway.
How much you're in that FEMA. So he'll have to.
So, Rick, it's,
Go ahead.
so it's a permit, not a waiver.
Sorry.
It's for the record. It's a separate chapter of the code. It's got nothing to do with the zoning. It would be in place whether you had zoning or not. It's a partnership with DEC is essentially assigned in New York State to implement floodplain development standards in New York, who in turn have partnerships with municipalities if they approve provisions in their code to handle permitting in the flood hazard zones, which you have. It's chapter 81 in your code. Planning board's got no role in this.
Okay.
It's the CEO. I was at the meeting, or your new CEO has been recently informed he's the floodplain development permit administrator and hasn't done one yet. The new CEO.
So, you know, if you think of, I was surprised. I started looking at section 125 and 140, and Dave said, don't even bother, it's section 81. So, so anyway, we'll take care of that by giving them a referral. We'll copy you on that, and we'll do that this week or Wednesday.
Part of the referral would be the type of intrusion into that floodplain as well, correct? The pier.
Well, it's up to the planning board. My read is it's up to the code enforcement officer if you need a permit or not. It's
Right.
he might take advice, but there's no role in the town code, the planning board in this permit process.
No, my question was we're not proposing to put a full typical obstruction in the floodplain. We're merely putting,
We're actually taking it out, but yeah, but it still goes to the CEO. It's just like doing a septic in a floodplain,
So,
it goes to the health department and the
It's
CEO.
essentially a building code requirement.
Yeah.
so what we're gonna do, as we go along, there's gonna be
Yeah.
two sets of referrals. One will be to the CEO, and the other's gonna be to the ZBA. What I'll make sure is done is that all the documents you gave me, the architecturals, the maps,
perfect.
the
That's
fact, the lateral, horizontal views, you're using pylons, not a formal basement, a sunken basement. We'll make sure that all goes to them and then.
Still working on new maps too, but you guys are keeping Bill, so.
Now, the only question I had, this is more for, well, it's our concern also, but. The maps, when I went over the maps with Dave, he pointed out some concern, and I think it was dealt with. Bill Eggers gave us a new map, I think.
We brought it in?
He did bring it in.
Oh, we were.
Pull it out in his pocket.
Paid for it, so you would hope him to bring it in. So there is a new map floating around that actually looks like it has measurements on it. Lordy, some measurements on there. So we can actually say that it was designed with meets and bounds and it has measurements on it. So that whoever looks at this to give you your permits or your waiver or your variances will have a map with
Our very first one we did with him did have that. And because plot plans typically don't need to be stamped. But Jerry Davis said, oh, get a stamp on, so then it was stamped. And then the third map, he neglected to put all the numbers back on because it wasn't a plot plan again, it was just a survey. So now this is actually the fourth map. And yeah, he didn't say he got it done.
So
But
the chair is a little bit remiss in not being able to find that new map, but there is a new map.
sure,
The fourth new map, or the
probably a
third
new
new
map
map.
too.
But Dave and I had spoken about, well, there's no numbers on here. We don't even know what we're sending to. But Bill did give us something. So when we send it to the ZBA and to the CEO, and the next time we come back to the board, we'll have that map. Again, I just got that today.
Maybe we'll have it too, right?
Maybe. So we'll be talking. All right, so. I just want to mention that because we were concerned that the stuff wasn't under measurement. So for example, and I think the new map shows this, but you're allowed to build on the existing plot of the house that burned down
Yeah.
plus 25%.
25.
Well, neither of us were sure whether you're within that 25% because we didn't have any good measurements.
Correct. The only place we're planning on expanding is where we bought more land, where we do meet setback, that's why we're.
Right,
going
my
longer.
point is, we had no measurements that we could have as a
Right,
reference to
I
say.
understand.
So now we do, and so now we feel a little bit more comfortable if I could find what Bill gave me today.
So
This is all new to a lot of departments in the other room and here and everything, so it's a learning process for a lot of people.
Go ahead, Peter.
this map has written in measurements. Is it when I looked at one?
No, apparently they've handed in a new one.
A new one, okay, additional.
There's a new one on top of the new one.
A newer.
I have a question for Dan Church. One thing I noticed here, and I've been going through the architecturals, it doesn't appear that we have any elevations. Where with which,
I don't know where.
like the elevation of the water, the elevation of the road, I just don't see it, so I don't know if it's required, but,
They only have this
We're
map
building
when
at
I
road
reviewed.
level.
okay.
Which is approximately actually more than 14 feet above the stream bank, which is.
Well, we don't, I see on these maps, I don't see any elevation,
Yeah,
so
it's
I don't know.
It's in the print for the home itself.
So John,
These
the
kind of-
map that the board is looking at is
Oh,
this one,
I see.
okay? That's the one we're working off of. This isn't the Bill Akers map. I think what Helena is asking for are the elevation lines, the contour lines on the map.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming that what Bill did has contours lines on them.
We haven't seen it, so we can't speak to that.
So you know what?
I think it would be prudent to know what the elevation is in relation to the minor stream and the Rochester Creek.
How about we do this?
Mhm.
How about Dave and I keep going through, John, sit there, don't worry. How about we go through what we believe you're gonna need to do with the ZBA, we've gotten through the CEO. And then I would propose that this week sometime, 1, 2, 3, 4, and either Helena and Peter will sit down. One of the two of you, maybe Helena this, if you have time, to go through what we think we're gonna need versus what we now have from Bill. Once Dave looks at the new map from Bill, we may be as happy as a pig in a poke or none. So we'll take a look at it, and if we need to meet separately, so that what we send off to the ZBA and to the building inspector is according to well.
We have a full set of stamp plans of the house with all the elevation.
Okay,
Just what I'm looking at here was.
He's asking surface elevation.
Right, I think it's in the
Excuse me.
planning board.
You said
file.
you're asking surface elevation, not
Correct,
the house elevation.
correct.
John, the elevations you're talking about is for the home,
Right, for the building elevation.
this,
And we quite frankly,
see that far.
yeah, good luck. Those are building elevations.
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know, and again, this was more of a question for David Church. If we really require it, it would be nice to see.
I mean, I think it
But
would be.
Surface elevation.
Yes,
Well,
Like topo?
yeah,
I,
elevation of the
Road.
the road to the stream, to this stream, we're just looking at something that's very flat. It might not be
it's not
required,
flat.
I know
It's
that.
not. How about
I
that?
know that, but if you're looking at this map, you have no idea what
Right.
you're looking at. Again, I don't know if it's a requirement for this action to have contours.
I think I'll know, chap, if you've done this already, you know. I believe chapter 81 requires that you have an engineer filing. The town code.
I'm sorry.
For the floodplain development permit. The code says you have to have something from an engineer.
Mhm.
You can actually dispute, one of the steps you can take is dispute whether in the flood hazard area or not. Only an engineer's report can do that. So the town code they'll have to file for the purpose of that other permit, some kind of engineering.
Okay, it's just
But
a comment.
the issue that I had, which Rick and I talked about, which we can talk about later, is which permit goes first.
Right,
okay, so
Which
let's,
is.
I have no comment
Which
on
is
that.
to be determined.
I have no comment on that.
all right, so let me keep going through, so. We need a permit from our friendly CEO. And it sounds like, maybe the map from Bill Agers will take care of it, but we need elevations. And it needs to be done by an engineer. Stream buffer, Dave, you want to talk about the stream buffer in the context of the code, and then I'll take care of the flood overlay zone.
So the code requires a 100-foot stream buffer be mapped. 100-foot. It's, you have to do it. But the new code says no buildings paved, I'm paraphrasing because to the relevant issues. Because there's a longer list. It says no buildings, paved areas, or greater than 25% vegetation can be disturbed in the buffer. So the dilemma is,
But this is pretty.
how do you build a structure in an area where you can't build a structure? Variance.
So
Well, 20.
we know it's pre-existing.
This is new.
Non-conforming. This is new. What we're willing to.
No.
I think you'll be able to show hardship
Mhm.
in the sense that you're trying to develop the property. What the property is gonna wind up being, and I'm not writing it for you, but if I was writing it. What the property is gonna wind up being is a better use of the property than what you had previously. It's a much more secure use of the property in that you have it on pylons, you don't have a basement. But because of the new code, we're required to go through the steps. So this is gonna have to go to the ZBA, and again. We'll make the referral to the ZBA, we have to have the right maps and all that, so. Dave and I will work on that, if we need if what Bill gave us is enough, then that'll be enough. If it's not, we'll have to come back to you.
Rick, just a couple of points of clarity. So this is by the review of the CEO. They're doing this on a pre-existing non-conforming lot, so it's presumed they can build a house on it.
Right.
One way or another.
No. Right now, we have a building permit. We can build his original house right back there, the same way it is, plus 2.5 on all four sides.
18
We have a
months.
building permit.
Code
right
says
now.
within 18 months of
What's that?
the code says within 18 months of the structure being damaged.
Correct, but it has been occupied and lived in, and I have the electric bill. They moved into the camper when the house burnt down. They didn't have the money to rebuild the house. I have from back 2022, they were still living there. They were living there when I purchased the property. So the house may not have been lived in, but it was occupied.
The property was occupied.
Right, but what kicked in the special use permit is because we didn't do it within 5 years, actually, not 5 years. That's what kicked in the special use permit. It's still a permitted use. There, I went in, but actually the person before me went in, got a building permit to build right back on it, because I was going to build it for him, because he worked for me. And we said, no, we want to do something that handicapped could live in or retired could live. So we purchased actually 3 lots there to make it the size it is. And possibly going to be a 4th lot, which we're negotiating on. So it is a pre-existing non-conforming use. We can build right there, right where it is right now, and we can just go straight up. And I can come back a year later and just ask for another building permit to extend it where we don't change the setback, or where we meet the setback on the left side of the home, because we have the whole other lot there. So.
John, what do you want us to do?
That's
Do you
the
want
ballast that I can't build there, and that it's an 18, you're reading it wrong.
what would you like us to do? Do you want us?
We want to proceed with this and make it a better home, but now I went to Aaron before all this, and that's why I've been here for like 6 months now. I talked to Aaron about the ZBA, and I'm going through it because I've been on the ZBA, I've been on planning board for 7 years. I was on all comprehensive planning and zoning committees. I've been on every committee in the town there is. I know this stuff pretty good. Now, I don't want to argue with you, but the ZBA, I know it's going to happen there, and that's why I went to Aaron. I said, I think we should go to the ZBA for this, because when we did our zoning and code update, we were trying to, remove this simple lot line thing. That should be done with just the CDO, because it doesn't involve anybody. It's making something better, not worse, okay? That was supposed to be done. It was not. The other thing is this type of situation. Does it go to the planning board, or does it go to the ZBA, or does it go to the planning board? In the past, it's went to the planning board. Now, if it's already an existing lot and it's new, you'd go to ZBA and change the setback. Our setbacks are what they are. We can't change that stream thing. I could leave here today, go in tomorrow and get my building permit renewed and build that distance from the stream. There's no difference there. Okay, the road, we actually removed it, we were actually closer there. Jerry gave us 25 feet. Or 30 feet, so we'd be even better. The side that the other stream's on, we're taking our footprint and shoving it towards the other lot we bought.
All right, so
we can.
John, let me ask you something.
Okay.
You keep saying you could go to the building department right now
I have a building permit right here.
to build the same.
What was there?
What was
That
there?
home.
Okay, so is that what you want to do?
No, we
Okay.
want to go with this, but.
So we're gonna
it's
go with
getting very
this, we're gonna go with
convoluted.
this, but what Dave is telling us is that you're gonna have to get something else from the building department. And you're gonna have to go to the ZBA, and you're gonna have to go to the ZBA. Look, it's a good use of the property. Right.
Yes, it is. Yes,
We're gonna
it
make the
is.
referral for you.
Okay, but I was commenting on the remark that either way, we have to
The
meet.
stream
the
setbacks,
stream.
the 100
We-
foot.
The 100 foot,
setback.
we do not.
We're talking about the items that the planning board will refer for either waiver or
ZBA.
variance.
Right.
I don't think anyone's debating your right to build a house there. Yes, but this board can't waive.
I know, and that's fine.
Grant a variance for
We don't need to
provisions
waive.
which may well be new since you got your building permit. And there's just, I
But
don't
this-
know.
At the
You're
same
in the code.
time,
You're right.
what I'm trying to do is educate Aaron and other people that instead of taking 5, 6 months to get a building permit to change something, it should be talked about and said, okay, well, what can we do on this? My opinion was I should have went to the ZBA first.
Well, you're gonna wind up there, so you were right, you're gonna wind up there anyway, so let's just keep going.
So we've got the.
So you got the stream
we've
buffer.
Standards in the 100-foot stream buffer that. The other preamble is, this is all in the zoning. Your ability, unlike subdivision regulations where the planning board and the code has the ability to waive pretty much anything in the subdivision regulations. In the zoning code, you only have the authority to waive certain procedural or submission requirements, not substantive standards. So you can't tell somebody they don't have to honor the 100-foot buffer, for example.
But I'm not looking to waive it. We don't need to waive it because it's pre-existing non-conforming.
Right. I think this board's gonna, what I'm recommending the board do is make a positive recommendation to the zoning board to grant you this. But anyway.
Let's go on to the flood overlay zone, which is something
The
new.
flood overlay zone, brand new code.
Since you got your
You're in
building
the
permit.
flood overlay zone, you're also in the aquifer protection overlay zone, but those standards don't apply to what you're doing. But the flood development overlay zone has a new provision that no principal structure or single family dwelling can be more than one dwelling per 3 acres. Period.
Pre-existing.
But it's pre-existing non-conforming.
I'm only reading the code.
I know, but if you dig
So
into
you're in
it,
it,
this
this-
is what if.
my
Mary was here,
recommendation,
she'd tell you.
right, my recommendation is you can't waive that either, it's a variance.
But that's a ZBA thing.
Or a redesign.
But that's a ZBA, that's ZBA.
You have no authority to vary from the requirement of one dwelling per 3 acres of a.
But the
flood
ZBA
development.
can.
It's a
Yeah.
ZBA, which is where we should have.
All right, so where we're at, Cynthia, thank you for getting us those waiver requests very quickly. But we're gonna take
We
a
only
different,
did that because you talked about it here.
we're gonna take a different
Tried to give
approach.
you everything you wanted here.
We'll send a referral to the CEO and we'll send a referral to the ZBA.
Both of those.
Dave and I will get it done within the next day or two. We'll send it out to you all,
And we'll also address the flood overlay zone as well.
yes. And we'll send it to the board so that you know what we're doing, because it is kind of kludgy. And we'll make sure that we have the right maps and everything else that those entities are gonna need in order to do this. So that's where
I
we
mean,
at.
the bottom line is that this is an improvement, in my opinion, of what is there and what was there. We don't have the authority to make those changes, but the ZBA does.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's a good project.
And I
It's
would
an
urge
absolutely good
everybody just to
project,
drive
but you-
by it, and you'll see. There's no way in hell this can ever flood. It has never flooded. The house has always went right down to the dirt. It's
But
never
it's not
flooded.
been there
You
for
walk
you.
to the edge of the stream is 6 foot down from the bank. And the home is that we're doing, and the home that was there, the second floor level was at street level, which is where we're gonna be. The house across the street would flood before this stuff, because the road goes like that. It's quite a ways down to the water, but other way, I'm sorry.
Is
Thank you,
there
John.
any,
So we'll wait for your email, Rick.
That's why we started building another home, because this has been, soon as I went to Erin about it, and she went to Mary Lou.
We'll advocate for you through referral to the ZBA and to the E CEO.
is
If you have questions, get in touch and.
I have a question. What protects the piers or the pilings? Anything? Or is it just,
The pressure treated.
They're marine grade pressure treated
Yeah.
and they're set in poured concrete. And they'll have a collar around them as well, a stone collar.
That's only on the bank is like that.
yeah,
And,
Virtually can't walk up it, but
and,
down on the
and
bank.
they're also all underneath the home and protected by the eve overhangs. So really the only water intrusion
And-
possible would be from stream. Yeah.
One question, you're gonna live within a 25% expansion?
I'm sorry?
you're gonna stay within the 25%.
We're staying within that.
Then we could probably drop that one, Rick, if you. If
Well, it's on-
if
it's
that's
on-
acceptable to you, you don't need it.
And the
We're not
other,
even asking for the extra 25 feet.
Well, there was no way to know on the map,
Oh,
if we had,
and,
how big a house you were building,
and the other, well, you have the dimensions, the plan is within.
but we don't. I don't know who knows in here, how big was the original house?
It's on this original survey.
But it's not, but all we had was the map with the hand drawings.
No, this is on mine too.
Both, there were two maps,
The
the
original,
same property.
the original, when Bill went out and surveyed it, what remained after the fire, because it was 12 foot closer to the road, but that all burnt away. Was 25 feet 4 inches, and from the road to the stream width was 23 feet 6 inches, exactly. And yeah, we're staying within that,
Okay.
and we're just going the direction where we need the setback, we're not encroaching anymore.
We're not encroaching.
No, we could drop this, the board could drop the request. if
This
you're
plan
looking
is
at it.
showing 23 by
And
29 by 62.
Thank you.
No,
Yes.
yeah, 23.5 by 62.
23 by 62. And this one,
25, 25 by
140.
So it's smaller than 25.4 by 62.
And the other thing that was on that map, Dave, originally is Bill did locate the septic field and the well.
And the electric meter, the electric's never been shut off there. It's still on and I still use it. The shed
Yeah,
is,
the map we had, the hand drawn one, is reputed site of septic,
and that's
You know-
still
but
what
you-
engineers do.
but you know where it is now.
That is how Bill located it, yes. We know
Okay.
where it's
We
at.
dug it up and had it pumped. I have the receipt.
I was
right
just
here.
trying to figure out how an engineer said
Well, they-
you have a functioning septic when you don't actually know where it is.
Oh, because we dug it up when Paul was there.
Yeah, but the map we had,
Bill located.
Just says
the septic
reputed.
field. Right, but Bill locates.
Okay, there's a new map.
No,
Go on, everybody.
it says reputed on the field, not the tank. Right there it says tank, right there it says reputed septic field. So you don't dig up all four corners, you don't wanna mess with the septic. You dig up the D box for the engineer that signs off on it, and you dig up the tank and pump it and to see what size it is.
Right.
but
because-
there's a new map.
No, it's on the original map, that's on
It's around somewhere.
You have two maps in the file.
the original survey.
One
right
for the lot
there.
line improvement.
showing septic tank. We turned in six copies of this, and 6 copies of the other.
Well, we'll find them, I guess. So.
Okay,
I hope so.
or we'll send you more.
Okay,
Let's move on.
thank you.
Try by and look at it, you'll see, there's no way in hell this property could ever flood.
So, are we coming back next month?
No. Keep you appraised when we send it to the zoning board or when we send it to the CEO. Thank you.
Thanks.
Glad you guys are gonna have a little night. Lucky dog.
Get this in
Yeah. It's.
Okay.
Verizon.
Verizon. My hair hurts on the teeth.
And then there was.
Yeah.
How far?
Oh, yeah. Pages and pages of notes I'm not gonna discuss.
Okay, so,
Anything up?
and just because Verizon is the last project on the agenda, I still have a whole bunch of stuff to go through. So Scott, just remember, you stand between them and having the earliest night that we've had in a year.
I appreciate that, I'm gonna do my best.
So before you go, I know you have a lot you want to talk about, but so do I. So I just want to get a couple of questions, a couple of statements, and then I'll let the board do the same. You were gonna get me paper copies of the visual. Tectonic was gonna get us a box load of 10 copies of the.
Be here. All right,
I hope it's not like that map from the previous project.
well,
Will you check on that?
that's my secretary, I printed them out, did the letter.
Do you know when she was gonna send it? Because we spoke on Wednesday, I thought, last week.
I don't know exactly how, but I will. You want a 10, right?
Yeah, that should be enough.
To be agree. Yeah, all right.
Okay, so, and I am gonna jump right into, the visual study. So a couple of notable things when I went through it online. Didn't see any simulation of the extra, what is it, extra 25 feet? Question mark, there was no simulation of that. I'm not sure, you know that Matt Allen is doing his homework.
I do.
And when I spoke to him on Friday along with David Church, he didn't know whether or not Tectonic would be able to do a simulation, given his understanding of how they did the visual. In order to do simulations, you would have had to have used 3D technology, I guess it's called. And I'm by no means an expert, but he wasn't at all sure that they were going to be able to simulate this extra 25 feet.
They can,
Okay, so,
they can. They just did it for other projects.
okay, so we're gonna need,
Yeah,
we're gonna need that. The easy way, Scott, around this 25 foot is for you guys to agree that we're gonna do, what's 145 less 25, that would be 120. That the tower itself would be 120, and that you're gonna exercise your 25 feet, or going forward, you just wanna us to look at the 145 feet and you're gonna waive the 25 feet.
I'll look at the second one. I know that's been done before, where basically my client will say, we will do 145 and we will not go higher.
So I need that in writing,
Yeah, oh, it'd have to be,
and that doesn't mean that we're gonna approve 145.
no, I understand.
But we keep going back and forth between 130 plus 25 or 120 plus 25, 145 plus 25.
I'm-
Simulations, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Doing the simulations would seem to be a waste of time and effort if you were gonna waive it anyway.
And I'm confident, when we apply for something, if we apply for 145, it's what we need. So
waive the.
I will, I don't make the final decision, but I'm pretty confident that they will agree to that.
Okay, so let's get that in writing.
Yeah,
The next thing that we need simulated is gonna be the co-location. How many co-locators, and then what is the co-location gonna look like with
we
these?
did that, actually. That is, yeah, no, we did it.
There are the pictures.
It's in the new pictures. They put at least one or two other carriers on there, you can see.
Right.
Yeah, I looked at it,
Okay, so
it's there.
what's the maximum number of co-locators?
4 probably.
So you're gonna need to show
pictures.
4. Dave, did you see the co-location?
I relied on what Matt said.
Sorry, and you saw it? Yes or no?
Yeah, the imitation in.
You saw a simulation of the co-location?
Yeah.
Yes, right.
There are 3.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, we've got 3 on
Hang on,
here.
sorry, I got
As
the
an
floor.
example, I think they call it C and then a number for co-locators, so like, I'm looking at figure C24. And you can definitely see it.
What page is that, Scott?
So it's, oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a page number, but it's just C24.
And Scott, is that your, the Verizon facility plus 3 co-locations or 4?
I can see 2 here, I can't tell if the third one's below.
So
The
no
trees.
more than 3 co-locators in addition to Verizon.
Yeah, I think I see a total of 3 here, unless the 4th is below the trees, but I don't know that I see that. And that's the most visible one, I believe.
Okay.
So you're not gonna have any more than 3 co-locators?
Including Verizon?
No,
Plus Verizon. Okay.
Yeah, plus co-located means, and then,
you can have a total of 4 license holders in this market area. We're showing 3 right now on there.
so is it your intention to have 4 locators and Verizon, which makes it?
We have no intentions about co-locators. If they come, that's fine. We don't care if they come. So we have 0 intentions of it. But I'm just telling you that there could be a total of 4 carriers, including Verizon, if the other 3 carriers so desire to go onto the tower.
And is the technology such that we can assume that each co-locator gets located below the previous co-locator?
Yes, especially if we're going to limit the, Verizon, because it's doing the work, spending the money, will have the top spot.
And then it
And
goes
we own
down.
the tower.
Okay.
And
And
then
then you
anywhere
go
that
down,
comes,
yeah.
and we show them lower. Usually there's about a 10-foot separation, tip to tip from a tower. Give or
Okay.
take.
Okay. We had talked at one point, all right, so,
What was the C?
we had talked at one time about the tower relative to the apartment buildings. And I did go through the noise study. Greg Bowman couldn't be here, but he's doing just a quick write-up for the board on the, whether or not the noise study shows that there would be too much noise or
Page
if it made our,
69.
made our code.
Thank you.
He did tell me verbally that it's within the code, the decibel level of at least one generator. Whether or not 2, 3, 4, 5 generators would be within our code.
Yeah.
It depends upon, get the final report. As you add co-locators, you're gonna be adding more generators. As you add more
Maybe-
generators, it's gonna be more noise.
Maybe, but I think that you would have to consider that. I don't think you consider that as part of our application. Because if another carrier comes and they want a generator, they have to prove to you that it's in compliance. And if their generator causes the noise to be in non-compliance, then they wouldn't have the right to put a generator up there. But that shouldn't affect us. If we're showing you that we're code compliant.
I agree with that.
Okay,
Okay. Either that or they have to, run the generator, let's say, the test periods at a different time than anybody else's.
Oh, that's absolutely easily to be done.
But we also talked about that tower, being too close for aesthetic reasons to those apartment buildings.
We did.
And I had asked you whether or not, you would look into moving them to a location. I guess it would be further east to get it away from those apartment buildings, further away from the
Yeah,
apartment.
and I haven't gotten an answer back from Verizon or the construction folks.
So I think we're
I'll
gonna
follow
need,
up.
I think we're gonna need that. I have no doubt that when we open up the public hearing, that people from the, legitimately, from that apartment building are gonna complain about having that so close to them. So it would be helpful to the board's decision process to take a look at that and have an answer to that ahead of time.
Yeah, I'll get an answer to that.
All right.
Guys, good question.
Hang on, I get one more. I get too confused when I get. Bird migration. You dealt with, Tectonic dealt with, flowers, birds, bees, salamanders, reptiles and amphibians, yada, yada, yada. I don't remember seeing anything in what Tectonic did in their second report regarding bird migration and or how to prevent birds from nesting on the towers.
Correct.
So we're gonna need you to do some work there.
That was done already though by one of our vendors who provided the Fish and Wildlife. So they're gonna communicate directly with the US Fish and Wildlife, but having experience in doing this, US Fish and Wildlife will come back and they will say there will be no taking of any migratory birds because our consultant has demonstrated that, and the US Fish and Wildlife, in my experience, has always agreed with that type of analysis. So I anticipate that there'll be no taking. We're not gonna kill any birds. And I think we did talk maybe about like, I may have mentioned owls at some point. I don't know if it was this.
Well, there are techniques in talking to somebody who knows something about this, but didn't do a study first.
Yeah.
That the combination of putting birds of prey, plastic models of birds of prey can have the effect of keeping those other birds, the real birds, off of there and preventing the necessity to have them removed down the road by unlicensed or licensed individuals. So, and I don't see that, and addressing that would be very important.
We can, I'll see if that's a possibility. If there is a nest on there, they do have, US Fish and Wildlife does have rules and regulations that are followed.
So what I'm anticipating, the things I just brought up, these are the things that are gonna come up in the public hearing when we open it. And you and I talked about, as opposed to doing these when they come up, one fell swoop, you're gonna address all of these items. So you might as well know the items that I've
Sure.
already heard of from people to begin to be able to address them. Sure. Okay. Sure, you had your hand up first and then Jennifer. You're okay? Jennifer?
So I'm looking at the drawings, but I don't know exactly where. I'm trying to like
align myself, but we're talking about noise and we're talking about the generator. We're talking about noise and the generator and concerns regarding that. I understand Greg's taking a look at things. If there's a way to lay out the site such that the generator is screened behind an existing building, you're not gonna have any noise at the sensitive receptor.
We are behind the fence. It is not, it's not a chain link fence, which obviously doesn't really
Yeah.
do much for noise. It's now it's a solid fence. It's gonna be solid vinyl. They're gonna make it tan. Try to be
Described in no study.
correct.
I don't know about vinyl being an appropriate use for noise mitigation. If you would like to, CMU block would be a better material for noise
And
mitigation.
I understand that, but our consultant is saying, fully compliant with town regulations.
Just
In fact-
just passing it on.
Yep,
Understand, well,
the way.
Let's wait to,
information,
let's get Greg's
Yep.
report.
What is it called? CMU?
yes, concrete masonry block,
Concrete?
concrete masonry units.
Okay,
I mean, for something like a generator, it's.
Jen,
pretty
anything?
small.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
And
That was
I think
good.
Scott's right about anybody who comes into co-locate has to come back to us for site plan. So at some point, there may be too much noise. If they have this thing where they plan on putting it by the third co-locator, there may be too much noise generated. And it's like, sorry, you're stuck.
Yeah,
You can't, you gotta come up with a different way of mitigating the noise, and it'd be up to them to say, okay, we'll mitigate the noise beyond what you guys do. So you may be first in and not a problem. The next person or the next person after that may begin to create a problem.
and that leads to another question. When you develop these site plans, like the layout on the ground,
Yes.
do you design those to create space so that if co-locators come in, there's laydown area for on the ground needs?
There'll be, this is if I remember correctly, 50 by 50. I remember correctly, and that's enough to deal, we actually at least more than that, was what we're showing with the plan is a 50 foot by 50 foot. And that isn't more than enough to accommodate at least 2 co-locators.
Okay,
But we-
and generators and all the associated.
But we typically know generally what they require, what their installations generally are. Yes.
Can I have a quick question? So why co-locator and you can use exactly, it's the same generator running different time? Or to have it powerful now? Well,
It's not, no, they're using a 50 kilowatt generator, which is really just sufficient for their use, yeah. And they also have very strict rules, we can't even tap into other existing generators, the rules are just, they want it to be, each carrier's their own generator, so they control it so that. If we make a mistake and they're relying on it, their customers don't suffer, vice versa.
Okay. Relocating that whole pad, I think is further
I'm
away.
still waiting for that.
It's really important. I think it's really important. Anybody else have?
Yeah,
Peter?
just a question, are there any methods to dissuade birds from nesting on these things?
My limited experience was just, I know I was in one, we had a tower in a parking lot. And it was an active parking lot and the birds would come onto and they would just. Do their thing and the cars would have to, cars would become a mess because they keep just pooping all over the place. In that case, they put an owl on a billboard that wasn't too far away, and the problem was solved.
Yeah.
It was solved.
But they're like, I'm sure you've seen pigeon spikes on ledges and.
Yes.
Do they do any sort of equivalent on?
I'd have to ask what they can do. I have to talk to the construction folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, that's the only experience I have is that.
Yeah, not the pigeon spikes would work.
Yeah, Scott, I think you had mentioned to us about the US Fish and Wildlife that they have strict regulations about removing. I don't want to get to the point where somebody even has to try to remove them. We should try to prevent them from being there to begin with. And
If we can, we will.
I gotta believe there's techniques to do those.
Where there's a will, there's always a way to find. But we'll do what we can do.
So we're gonna need to explore that. And Helena, you brought up some questions, comments about socks.
Yes, because Matt Shook,
Not the lore involving.
right, no, I know, yeah, but not the Bombas. Matt Shook had mentioned to me, working with Verizon, that they found that there are socks that can be placed on the antenna to soften the impact, the visual impact of the white panels, or I'm not sure if these. Are the panels going to be white? Are they gonna be gray? It would be good for the planning board to see the different types of camouflage that could be incorporated to lessen the visual impact here, because if we're all concerned, you're at the foothills of the Shawangums, adjacent to Minnewaska State Park, scenic byway, so it would be great if Verizon could step up and provide some type of camouflage and show us what it would look like. We've already discussed the Franken trees, that they're not appropriate, right, because of the setting, and we're not in the forest of, conifers, and it's too tall, and it'll look worse. But anything you can do, you should be educating us on the various techniques to camouflage and lessen the visual impact.
Sure, I think socks maybe it was the first time I'm hearing it tonight, maybe we just.
No, I've brought it up several times.
I'm not familiar with it because when you introduce that, what you're introducing is more mass. And something that right now, the antennas are gonna be a grayish color. And in upstate New York, they blend fairly well with the sky generally, and in this case, it's not gonna be backlit because it's kind of in the valley between, Minnewaska and there's the other mountain range, so it's not sticking up above a ridge. So my point is, I can provide some sock examples, but I think you're not gonna like.
Okay, well, this is the first time I heard, I asked you if the panels are going to be gray, because a lot of times they're white. And I know it said,
White grayish.
yeah, and the white is very reflective. So, and driving to Jersey, you go to Newark Airport, there's tons of cell towers with various color socks on them, just to let you know.
I do my best to stay out of Jersey.
I know. I don't fly out of Newark, but I was the
I got
driver.
family there.
It'd be great to see those options, so.
Oh, I'll see what we can do. Again, we'll show it to you. My experience is when you start to add camouflage to a tall tower like this, what you're adding is visibility, but you can.
Correct, and that very well might be true, but it would be good for you to lay it out for the members of the planning board, so we could be in agreement with your original assessment.
Sure, and I understand that. I guess we usually wait to hear what your consultant said, because if your consultant comes back and says, hey, we think this is a good looking project, no significant visual impacts. Or sometimes they'll come back and say, we think you should show us alternatives, but you're asking for it, so you're the deciding person, so we'll see what we can do.
Okay, any other questions? So let's talk about process over the next couple of weeks, months, whatever. I hope by the next meeting, which is September 8th, and I want you here on September 8th.
Won't be here in September 8th, but someone can be here.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I anticipate that we'll have Matt Allen's report by then.
Yeah.
And this board will then discuss, when ask Matt to come. And go through his report. And this board will discuss the report on the 8th.
Okay.
Okay. And then I would anticipate, and I'd like to do this tonight, set the public hearing. I would anticipate that the public hearing would be the meeting after that, begin the public hearing process, which would be September 29th. However, before each of the public hearings meetings, or the public hearing takes place, it's been about 3 months since you've been here.
Mhm.
So what I think this board needs is a recap of what I've jotted down as the 4 major issues, 5 probably, that we're gonna be dealing with. And in no order of priority, it's the waiver of the height. As per our code, right? The code only allows you to go to 95 feet, as I recall, and you're asking for 145.
Right.
All right. The location of the tower, so close to the apartment buildings, would be the second item. The visual impact, third item. Impact on wildlife, whether it be flora or fauna. And then finally, the RF, which has sort of been in the background, no pun intended, but the RF study, to review the RF study for us. So I was actually hoping to have some time between the public hearing and the review of these topics, or to have a public hearing dedicated to 1 or 2 of these topics alone, And it's difficult to tell the public they can't talk about everything. But to have you present at the public hearing, a recap of these items for the board that allow the public to speak on those and other things, and then the board to discuss those particular items at that particular public hearing, so we can have some sense of order as opposed to jumping all over the place. But I don't know if that, I'm not even sure if that will work, or what the board thinks about that approach. And if I've got all 5 of them correct, in no order of priority, the RF, the visual impact, the impact on wildlife, the actual location, I'll call it the site plan discussion, and then the waiver, which we haven't gotten to. If you remember, our attorney put together some ideas on how we could deal with the waiver that we have to grant them. Those would be those are the 5 major things that I said. So would the board like to comment on those? You got a comment on the 5 items?
Yeah, you
Go ahead.
then change the location of tower required in other visual study?
No, I don't see as, and I mean, if they were gonna change it a couple of 100 feet, maybe if they were to go to a different ridge line, but it's all part of the same.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's all part of the same contract. My desire is not to do another balloon test.
Right.
That tested the patience of Joe, but to get it away from the apartment building. In
Well-
deference to the people who live in that apartment building.
There's also a home the other way too.
Right,
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
so let's say you do move the location of the tower a couple 100 feet. Could you then, or was that what you were thinking, a couple
Yeah.
100 feet or whatever? Then in your visual assessment where you have the view from the road and from the granite, could you be able to change those to?
Not based on how it was done, from what I understand,
Okay.
no.
That's odd, because I thought, I can't think of the name of the lady who came here.
Yeah. Yeah, because
She said that they were using the 3D technology.
she used that model for the initial photo sim, but it wasn't used for this, and I don't know if they were talking to Matt about it, but I saw that again in preparation of the meeting where they said. We actually didn't need to use the 3D model because it would be a model as compared to the actual data from the balloon test. Which, by the way, just as a, I know that something I learned today. The LiDAR that we focused on to help with the preliminary visual analysis was, and which Matt rightfully said was a good idea to use, was about 50% accurate. Because if you looked at, we compared the LiDAR data to the actual data, and I was surprised to see this because LiDAR is supposed to be pretty accurate. It was 50%. Now in baseball, that might be a good hitting that average, but for this type of work, I thought it was pretty bad. So we have the actual data, but my point is,
Are you sure they used the LiDAR correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in the forest cover.
But so,
Well, we'll wait to see what Matt says.
Yeah,
and
I just thought it was kind of an aside, I was shocked.
Scott, when you say 50% accurate, what does that mean specifically?
So if we're looking at a specific location, just say it's location A, the LiDAR map said, no, this will be visible, the tower will be visible from here. When we actually put the balloon there, you couldn't see it. So they explained it by saying, LiDAR may not be perfect in terms of.
When you say-
what time did they take the picture? Cause maybe the balloon had popped.
No.
No.
The balloons are up there, the balloons are up for the
So
top.
to be specific, what you're saying is the LiDAR, 50% of the LiDAR positives are false.
That false positives, exactly.
That's
What I saw from the data. Just a very quick read. It was like, there was a chart there. You can read it yourself. It's pretty easy. It says LiDAR, yes, visible, actual balloon test, no. And I counted it up and it was 32 locations and 15 were inaccurate. So a little less than 50.
I'm gonna count myself as a bit of a LiDAR expert because I've gotten involved with it from the perspective of investigations in South America and the Amazon and looking for lost civilizations. It depends upon, not me personally.
Oh,
In your spare time.
In my spare time. But
That was pre-planning board.
But where you set the LiDAR, the tolerances, where you set the LiDAR and what you include or exclude, whether you include everything above 6 feet or 7 feet, or you include everything above 100 feet, you set the you set the horizon at 100 feet or you set it at 6 feet makes a difference. And if you set it at the wrong place, you're gonna get false positives. If you set it at 100 feet and you don't, you're gonna see stuff.
Yeah.
If you set it at 6 feet, you're not gonna see the stuff. So the question is, did they set it correctly?
I don't know, I know that Matt reviewed it and so we spoke to him after the meeting, he said, no, everything looked good. Use the right LiDAR, and he didn't say specific to that specific, but he said, yes, I looked at
Well,
this.
we'll,
looks good."
we'll see, because he's looking at their data right now.
Yep.
And we'll see if he picks up on the same, on
I
the
was
anomaly.
just surprised.
Okay.
Comment about LiDAR, I use it extensively in my other part of my life, and it's very accurate. We don't have significant issues with finding it. It has to be, I mean, for the future, what we
I mean,
do.
LiDAR is,
It's very accurate.
if you use it correctly, if you peel away the
Yes.
right levels.
Yeah, exactly. Can I make a comment about process? I have experience working on large scale projects with lots of public comments and public interest. And in those experiences, what we've done is we release environmental assessments ahead of time. And we try to give people time to review the documents before they come to the public hearing. And then at the public hearing, we do what you suggested, which is to have the applicant stand up and present based on what was in the assessment. In the past, we've also done like an informal Q&A that's not the public hearing, but it gives people a chance to ask some questions and clarifications. And then at the end of all of that, we would open up the public comment and hold the public hearing. And we've done these at one public hearing per location. So in this example, it would be one public hearing for this project per se, but we would accept written comments and we would also set a time limit on how long people had to speak, just to kind of try and keep things moving. And that was successful.
So that sounds like a good process. Could you regurgitate that in the context of our process?
For this,
Yeah.
so it would be compiling, because we talked about noise, wildlife, visual assessment.
Visual, RF.
Whatever those components are,
Right.
make those publicly available. And say, you know, the information is released, and then you set the public hearing based on when that information is available, so maybe. I hesitate to give a certain number of days, but you know, it would be some amount of time so that people could, because it's a lot to read through. If somebody wants to read everything and comment on it, you gotta give them a little bit of time, right? So
Like
we
a
would
week before or 2
2
weeks
weeks?
before.
3 weeks, like, it depends on how much it is, I haven't seen it all together, but you give people a few weeks to review it. You set the public hearing, so there's plenty of time, and the documents are easily accessible, so that people can go online and can find what they're looking for. And then you set the public hearing based on that. So in this case, I don't know when we're gonna have everything together, but let's say we have it together on the 8th. You would maybe give at least 2 weeks, or maybe even more, so people can review it. Comment on the day of the public hearing, presents on the impact analysis, so you have an opportunity to present what the project is, what the environmental assessment tells you about impacts. To everybody. If we wanted to, we could do Q&A, it might get too in the weeds, so maybe not, but then you open it up at the very end, basically you open it up for public comment, and that's when people have the opportunity to come speak.
And then also make the statement early on that you're limited to either
Yeah.
with DEC hearings, I think we're 3
We did
minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
And then, but you know, encourage
Yeah,
everybody to
comments.
put it in writing and provide the written comments.
Mhm.
So which of the 5 items that I mentioned, I'll go through them again, the order of them. So if we were to do, it was the waiver. It was the location relative to the apartment buildings. It was visual. You have to wait for Matt's study. Impact on wildlife, which is a biggie, and the RF, which is, I guess, of less concern.
Yeah.
So,
When you say RF, you're talking about the.
I call it the
necessity-
RF, it's the needs assessment.
Okay.
And I guess you could also throw in there, and I don't know. The real estate issue, the issue of
Economic
property
impact.
values, which is way out of my league. So. Counselor, do you have a sense of order of precedence for any of these things?
Well, before you get into order precedence, I just want to be clear, when you talk about the waiver, you're talking about specifically the criteria by which the board's gonna use to evaluate,
Correct.
you're not talking about evaluating the waiver and making a decision,
No,
right?
the criteria.
Right. Secondly, what are you talking about order, I mean, you're gonna open up a public hearing, public's gonna wanna speak. I'm not even sure it's wise to try to order them, because we're talking about one public hearing, so the idea of, before 8 o'clock, we're gonna do this, it isn't gonna work. So,
Well, I'm anticipating this will be more than one day's worth of public hearing. It's gonna be, 2 or 3 meetings.
and so you're gonna have 2 of those items in one meeting, 2 of those items in the next meeting, and
I see what you're saying, I don't think that's gonna work.
you got 5 issues and public's gonna have their own issues. They're not gonna follow. But if you say the board's gonna be looking at these 5, the public can talk about anything they want, we're gonna open up the public hearing. At that point, maybe after one session, it'll sort itself out and we'll figure out what, I don't, I would not recommend trying to pre-plan it that way, it doesn't make much sense to me.
I do think it, I mean, it helps people a lot to provide that summary. In
Oh, sure.
advance, in order to help people structure their own speaking, and, in order for, I mean, it just helps us too, to.
You could say the board is
to categorize
particularly
issues.
interested in
Yeah, that-
public comment on these 5
And he was
issues.
doing that as an introduction to the public hearing.
So
I don't know that the public hearing has to go on for weeks and weeks. I think we want to gather this information as quickly as possible. Once, to Jennifer's point, they have the information to absorb. They have a couple of weeks to take it in and then come and give us our thoughts, give us their thoughts.
Stacy, Verizon is up on Muni Collab now, right? All the information.
Yeah.
We've overcome that. Well, let me just.
Documents, I'm sorry, but to your point, Jennifer, most of the documents for the application have been uploaded, so
Right.
they're available to the public.
Oh, the environmental assessment.
I can't speak to all, but I think
They're all up.
I'm getting 10 emails dinging me like, oh, Muni, it's like, okay.
Yeah, everything's up, Jen.
Can I ask one more question
Sure.
about what's available? Do we have like a really robust project description for the public? Because giving them assessments is great, but if they don't understand what the project is,
Right.
it's not helpful. So like a detailed narrative with drawings that explain, because there's the environmental assessment, but what is it based on? It's based on, this is the site plan, this is how,
I
you
think
know, we need
that's-
some drawings so people understand.
I think it's in that first.
But
And it's changed a little bit, but there's
but
a,
it's changed.
but not dramatically, and there's a whole, I don't know what reads what I did, but it's like a 8-9 page
So that's-
summary. That
I-
says, here's what the project is, here's what the issues are, here's how we think we've addressed all the issues, and we provide exhibits. Now, some of those exhibits have been revised based on discussions between the planning board and us. But I think this application, I think, is up on.
So there were 3 major documents. Let me see if this helps, Jen. There were 3 major documents. That's the first one you're holding up there, right?
Yeah. That's the original application.
Right.
book.
So there were 3 major documents. And the failure that, quote unquote, that we found in the first document was the FEAF was not sufficient. There were errors. So they redid that in the second one. It didn't address the environment sufficiently. So that was in the second one. And the third major problem was the real estate analysis, which you had to be a MIT graduate to understand what the hell they were talking about. So they redid it and there was a document that was, you didn't have to go to MIT, you only had to go to NYU to understand. So that was in the second document.
But if it's all, I don't know that I've seen it like one place with the current, because if people have to dig through things,
Well-
it's
They're gonna
way
get
too
lost.
overwhelming. It's way.
All right,
too-
well, let's ask our Muni Collab expert. Oh, and the third document was the one that we got a week and a half ago with the visual assessment from their point of view. And we're still waiting from Matt
Yeah.
Collins.
Yeah.
So they're all there. There are some errors in that first one, so
I'm gonna be totally honest, it's a big blur, because I went through like 150 files over the last month regarding this, so I don't know. But if you mention whatever those specific documents are, I can look for them and make sure that they're on there or get them and put them up with them.
Yeah, there's 7
So I
pages of
can-
documents in Muni Collab. I think the problem is this project's transitioning
Yeah.
from the Google
Mhm.
Drive to Muni Collab, so that
It's hard.
maybe to her point, we need to deconstruct the big binder stuff
Mhm.
and get it isolated in the organization.
This week, Kimasabi.
Communicolab allows you to have you can open a tab and get the project description. You can open a tab and get information on the property owner. You can, I think you didn't do that yet because of its transitional nature of this project. But maybe we could do that.
Yep, does it allow add tabs? Nicola?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can, it's incredibly intuitive, particularly.
Yeah.
And stuff goes up in real time. It's
My-
not like anything's gonna be hidden from anyone, right?
So my suggestion would be, well, I think most of it's up there, but I agree with you. I did take a look at it in between. And it's not. May not be the easiest to look at, but I can prepare an expanded environmental assessment form based on new information that's been generated. And I can just tab that, say, okay, so here's a project description in there, and here's tab A for the current plans, and okay. It's not gonna impact wildlife, and here's why. We have this thick analysis from our vendor that says it's not gonna impact any wildlife, and we can do that. That way, that's the most current stuff. All the other stuff is still there and accessible, but that way at least maybe focuses it.
So maybe,
Yes.
Because otherwise you just get lost.
so if you could,
Organize it.
that sounds like, an expanded preface.
Yeah.
That says, look, here's where you find the narrative, here's where you find the Bugs and Bunnies stuff, here's where you find the material on the SEAF or the FEAF. Here's where you find the real estate information, and name the documents where they are. And then we can make sure, so some of it would be there, but it's more of a table of contents or a preface or something that tells the public where to find the stuff.
I'll do it even better. I'll just attach it so that when you attach, like, if I give you another one of these, but just. It's not gonna be identical, but it'll just be, here's the process we went through, here's how we ended up where we did it evolved. And here are all the kind of new documents that we're relying upon. And then if you take this, we'll give it to you in a PDF, obviously. I can give you hard copy too, but
Rick, he or his team can go into Municalab and enter stuff. The problem is right now, because of the transitional nature of this one, in terms of posting, like I'm looking at the application project details in Municalab. Only there's 7 different categories: applicant information, property owner ID, property ownership, proposed site plan, existing conditions, seeker, and ag data statement, but only half of them are filled out. Because he's just been loading up documents. That's all Lord Stacy has, right? It's not teased out into the categories that Municalab has. You follow me? So
that big document should be
Jennifer,
broken
is your
down.
issue that your people are stuck looking at these giant binders that are?
No, because it's inherently part of the project is that it's gonna be a lot of information. It's about making sure people aren't reviewing revision 1 and
Correct.
revision 4.
A finalized.
And I would say that, I mean, I'm not saying we should make things public that are legally required to be public. I'm saying that if we're holding a public hearing, we should be highlighting current information so that people, because if we post all of this and hold a public hearing and people come and they review the wrong 300 pages, that's not gonna.
So what I would typically ask for is a standalone document that incorporates all of the revisions, and this kind of, I don't want to say like your final environmental impact statement, but have.
The draft.
Yeah,
It's the
and
draft.
just have all the finalized documents, so, the pub, because it has to be user friendly.
Yeah.
And so, and to Jennifer's point, so we're not looking at 3 EAFs and, et cetera, so that we have one standalone document that has all of the recent.
Yep.
Revised documents.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
that make
And I
sense?
think, and I'm gonna call it an expanded EAF or expanded project or project something. Just so that, and the board can tell the public, even in the public notice. The current project document can be found at whatever, label it, they can find it there. You'll have all the other information because that is part of your record, which is important, but you'll have a document kind of like this, maybe probably a little thicker. But it'll be one standalone document that's gonna be the script, project description,
Okay,
market study, all of that information.
okay.
I agree, I understand
Yeah,
exactly what you're saying.
because you wanna make this user friendly for the public. They need to be, and it's gonna be difficult enough for a lot of people.
They have no problems opposing.
Well, I'm just saying.
It is long enough.
Stacy, is this making sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Munich Lab now, I mean, the project description is empty. There's a narrative section where we could upload a narrative document of what the description is. They might be in there and just need to be moved. I mean, my main thing that I did with this application was removed any of the emails and personal information. I didn't
Thank
even
you.
get to putting things in the right spots where they belong for the most part. So
Okay.
I just redacted what was needed in order to make it public so that we could at least get to this part. But moving things where they need to go is still a big work in progress.
So if you can help us with that,
Yeah, the final.
like putting together,
Good point.
Yeah.
putting together a customer facing document, if you would, a public facing document. Okay,
It'll just be a
There
summary
are
of everything.
157 files.
Oh, I know, I counted the other day.
And the problem is if you start adding more files, just to clarify the earlier files,
Yeah, but.
it could get even more confusing.
Roadmap way to go.
Could I make one last suggestion also is to include I'm assuming there's the long EAF, is to also include that with this so that people can see what was screened in and what was screened out, so they understand why there's not an assessment on X. Because it's not required and that is clear for
Yeah.
people instead of it just being absent.
are we overcomplicating what Dave said? We're gonna be giving him something else. But what that something else contains is already somewhere else in Muni Colab.
I don't think it's overcomplicated.
No, I
You
think
have
it's gonna
everything
make
in
it
one
easier.
place. This is where you go if you want to comment on this project. It gives you all of the information that you need, one location.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
And nothing prohibits the public from doing a deeper dive into the prior files.
But I see that, I'm looking at the application project details, proposed site plan, which was, I think, what
Mhm.
Stacy's looking at, proposed site plan, project it's blank, project description, blank.
Right.
Retained existing uses, blank.
It's all.
And so, so
Yeah,
it's like, if somebody is like paying attention to this for the first time, are they gonna wanna go through that gigantic thing? Are they gonna go through that gigantic thing? Or does it make sense to fill out some of this stuff and say, here's the project description, grab it from that and put it here in addition to providing that? Just, I don't know.
I don't
I
either.
take David's point about getting overwhelmed, because it's overwhelming. There's
Well, the applicant, Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mhm.
it's structured that the applicant first puts all that information. in.
Exactly.
It's just that we didn't ask this applicant to do that,
Right,
because we didn't have Municalab at the time.
right.
yeah.
But you could, you know what we're talking about, Scott?
Go through and fill it out.
Someone on your team.
So I can fill out the.
Go
I
in
can
there and
fill
fill
out-
that
I
out.
think someone has to approve it at the town. though,
Well, it
which-
won't get posted to
That's what I was
the
thinking.
public
Yeah.
until it's approved by.
I can certainly go in and if there are sections with project description, I can pull things here and there. I can see how I can populate that. Based on the information that we provided.
I mean, I'm looking, there's a secret tab. You could put the big old PDF.
It should be there. I don't know if it's elsewhere.
She's got, Stacy put some files in there, but there's
I have the map.
there's no,
report,
there's
but
no
not-
summary details or
So
anything.
Dave, are you saying you're not in favor of having a standalone
I
final
think-
document?
I think Municalab does this. The whole.
I
point.
don't,
Mhm.
I really think there should be
I'm in
one
agreement, yeah.
document that people go to.
But
And it's
it is-
all in
that's-
one place, and it's, if they have that one document, that's all they need. They can print it
That's what
out.
Municalab is. It's a digital version of the document.
Yeah, I think.
Right, but you have to dig,
Yes,
and you might not know the language,
and
and you might not know how to look for it, or
And if
what
it-
you're looking
if
for.
it started that way, it'd be one thing,
Yeah.
but since we're
Right.
It gets to be
Yeah.
organized.
You're transitioning, and that's the
Separating.
problem.
that's the problem.
I have a process question.
Hang on, let's,
Where's NEPA at? And
They're
is-
still in the
is-
process.
Is the US Fish and Wildlife documentation coming through that process?
Yes,
So we may not have that for a while.
you may not, but but you should, because that process has been going on for a few months now, so I'll check where the need.
Right.
I don't see any, other than those early notices that
Okay, Dave, let's go back to, we didn't make a decision about whether we're gonna be a clumper or a splitter. So
Can I add one more
I,
comment?
yeah, go ahead.
Of those 157 files. I wanna say almost the majority of them are just from the balloon test, whether it's emails, pictures. Community member emails, public notices ×5, because there was 5 tests, I believe. So majority of the files in there are from that alone.
So
It's not like other files related to the projects or studies or anything, it's mostly.
So it sounds like, those of us who have played around with Muni Collab and knowing that there was a conversion, but there's still a lot of work to do, it sounds like having a single place to go is the thing to do.
I think so for this project. I really, having worked with environmental impact
Who's
statements,
doing it?
DEIS.
It sounds like Scott's gonna be putting a document together.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna be given to Stacy. Stacy will put it up there. I don't know where you're gonna put
I'll figure it out.
it.
Yeah, that's a
Maybe
question.
just call it like a
Based
summary
on
document.
information.
So,
Or fine.
Not, yeah,
I could maybe put it in that narrative.
Let's give it a roll. I mean, you have the document, you have the documents, you're not creating anything new. You're just gonna resort them, rejiggle them, get them to us.
Yep.
And then between Stacy and some of the other people around the table that are far more,
Wouldn't you rather access information with 1 click versus 10?
that's what Muni Collab was meant to be.
I know, but that's not what we have here.
I
So
realize,
that's
but a lot of that has to do with the anomalies of the conversion.
correct. So I think
Which would-
get around it.
So, all right, Scott, so yes, we would like to have that document.
Yeah, I'll put that together.
Okay.
I would just like to say one more thing about this, is I have to applaud Stacy for doing
Oh,
the
yeah.
incredible work that you did.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
to make sense of
redacting,
this.
for redacting the email addresses, because we did the first call and then we
Mhm.
gave it to you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you go, you do it. It's,
Do you have Adobe?
all right, anything else for
I did
Scott?
clear
What,
it up, yeah.
so what we haven't done is decided,
The only way.
I think the notion of being too rigorous about, tonight, everybody, we're gonna talk about this, it's like, no, it's not a classroom exercise. We'll just roll with whatever the public wants to talk about, they'll know where they can go to get that information. I do think that we need to direct ourselves and get certain things done. Yes,
Yes.
And I think when you do the public hearing, it might make sense to, if we can, point people to that one big document, the latest version of that one.
in the
big-
public hearing.
In the public hearing.
Notice itself.
Yes.
That'll point people to that one.
All right, so Scott, when can you get us this document?
Probably before your next meeting.
Okay, so let's do that. Then at that next meeting, we will have seen it. We can make a decision on the public hearing, which I'd like to be September 29th. I'd like to get this moving.
I may juggle things to do.
You need to have somebody here.
I think I.
Okay, so cancel your vacation to Monaco.
It wasn't a vacation, it was just a shorter travel time, but something I committed to
And I hope to have Matt Allen's document, so that'll be
okay.
primary at that meeting. And then the public hearing, I hope to be able to set for the 29th to get rolling with this stuff.
That'd be great.
All right,
So
Any
Rick,
other-
on one of your bullets on the wildlife ecology, if the essential documentation is coming out of NEPA, how are we dealing with that? Because I looked at the Google Drive and Munich Lab. On the NEPA process, all I see all we have are those early public notices. We
Oh,
don't-
yeah, no, there's
we don't
actually a
have-
bylaw,
we
there are
don't have
assessments.
any, but we don't have any
There-
other information.
Well,
Well,
you do, but it
it-
just might not be on Muni Collab or whatever.
So it's not in the drive either.
Okay, because I know that the chairman was saying. Why'd you send me this thing, this thick thing? I said, well, be careful what you asked for. You asked for it at the last meeting. You wanted a biological assessment, so we gave it to you.
But
So I
it's
do
got-
recall that.
I think it's got some correspondence. It's got no conclusion, right?
Well, it's,
From
you
you.
know, we have a conclusion. Our conclusion is.
No, Fish and Wildlife's conclusion.
Fish and wildlife happened, exactly.
Well, that's what this board
Yeah.
needs.
Well,
Yes and no, it's their issue, I would say they preempt you, but
Oh, but
we also don't wanna keep it from you. But, so when it's available, I'll give it to you.
My advice would be to do seeker on that matter. You need
You
essential agencies input.
But we can hold public hearing before.
I was just that, it's not about the public hearing, it's just about where is it?
Yeah, I'll find out, I'm hoping that when I make the call tomorrow, they're like, hey, it's in, we just didn't send it to you.
Yeah, to Ken's point, I would not recommend holding a public hearing before we get essential input from every environmental issue, including whatever Fish and Wildlife Service is working up on whatever biological issues, and including Matt Allen's visual assessment. I mean, the likelihood is if you do that, you're gonna have to just,
Keep extending it.
yeah. I mean, you could start, don't get me wrong, but just be conscious of the fact you're not gonna end it until we get.
Let's get started because
Well, in my mind, we receive public, I'm thinking about this like an EIS, where you
Mhm,
put out a draft document.
Yep.
You get comments from regulators, from the public, from everybody, and then you revise and you resubmit the final that reflects the comments and the
response to
changes.
comments, exactly.
Response to comments,
I'm thinking
so,
about it from the public perspective and having been representing the public for long periods of time. If there's an environmental document that comes in after we've been to a public hearing, giving comment, we're gonna want a second chance to do public.
well, yeah,
You were correct.
right, yeah.
We are in agreement.
Yeah,
I'm in
Okay,
agreement
just
with you
wanna-
on that.
but
You have to have a complete, if you're gonna have the public comment on an application, it should be a complete application. Or at least have all of the elements.
Including, I mean, from the public's perspective, you know, the idea that the applicant is producing a complete application is only partial. If there's an important agency comment coming in or important consultant comment coming in, you just need that, otherwise, you know,
Exactly.
especially if
correct.
the public is not hiring their own consultants, they're gonna be very dependent on what the other
Right.
agencies report.
it sounds like we need to.
We're
push it
definitely in
out,
agreement with you.
Yeah, I'll see what it is, because like I said, we know what the conclusion is gonna be, we did the
So
analysis.
now we gotta get Matt's thing done.
You know, we agree.
Gotta meet things.
Now, you mentioned that you sent the big,
Biological assessment.
that was the second document, correct?
I don't know if it's first or second.
It was 300 and
Yeah,
some
it's a
pages.
tab.
It was long,
The
yeah.
tab in that
I
document.
remember you said, what are you doing?
Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Well,
we,
you said I have it. Yes, I have it.
but I, you know, yeah.
Don't forget the simulations done with the socks and
Hang on.
Yep.
Joanne?
I think by creating the combined document, we're creating problem for ourselves. Rather than subdivide it on subject with different tabs, different folders, and create another document for public, instructing them what kind of subject we're gonna discuss, and all information to look in this subfolder, another subfolder, because if you create for today, for example, the public summary, and tomorrow some another document shows up. You have to update the public summary rather than keeping separate. Sort of boxes, folders. Feeding out these updated documents and. Continuously realizing that this is our aspects of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one, if wants to get familiar with the meta and have a comments, looks here, here and there. And every time the document's updated, it's there.
by the time he does the final document, there should be no other reports coming in. We will have everything. So once that final document is created,
But if we're gonna react to.
yeah, then there will be, all studies, the NEPA study, at least this is my understanding
it's a
of how
draft. It's not a final.
it's not, but we'll call it a draft, but in one
It's a draft for
location.
But it's a result of public's comments, maybe some.
Oh, well, that's that's after that.
Yeah,
Then you have another.
Right, so then that's two documents
you have two.
versus 150.
You have two, you have a draft and a final. And the draft is for public comment, regulators.
But then you have to keep track rather than keeping them in separate folders. Something new comes, you add it there. and they
I believe we'll still have all of that information.
No, I get it, I
But we
understand.
just wanna have something, because most applications that.
But then you're gonna have a duplicate, if you look at.
So wait a minute, are you agreeing with where we came out on Matt giving us a document? Are you agreeing with that?
We don't give a document, but I see it's a double, because you're gonna give it the document, But in addition to that, we're gonna have another folders already having similar information.
So you're saying that there's duplication, he's sending us something that duplicates what we have in Unicolab already?
But yeah, it would be.
Well, we said, yeah, but we need to get this thing organized in some fashion, so we asked them to
So
do.
you create instruction for the public where to look for.
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah, fine. So then you go what-
Yeah, I think to your
After
point,
having done so many, handling DEISs and FEISs in public hearings. It's best to have,
to your point, it's about one click as opposed to
yes,
a roadmap, which still requires people to go to different
And
places.
it sounds like we only have two major documents that are still extant. One is the Met Allen document and the Fish and Wildlife.
and
document.
that will be incorporated in that.
Yeah.
On that, in that document
Once
that we
we-
put for the public. No, we're not gonna put a final document out there until we have Matt Allen's document and the NEPA Fish and Wildlife. Right? Those are the two outstanding.
Yes,
Then we will post it. Then we go to then we open the public hearing.
okay.
Cause I'm also in agreement with Mr. Gordon that we shouldn't open a public hearing until we have all of the
Until we
information.
have Fish and Wildlife. We'll have Matt's by within another week and a half, 2 weeks. So then it's just Fish and Wildlife.
I'll check tomorrow where they are.
Okay.
So I think this is a great discussion, by the way, and I'm happy to do what I think the board is asking me to do, but I will say. I've been doing this for a fairly long time. I have yet to come to a public hearing where. Public actually reads the application a lot of times. Having said that, I think you need to make it as easy as possible for them.
Correct.
That's just my experience.
Correct.
They have their issues, they're gonna say what their issues are, and 99% of the time I said, okay, but did you see the application? Because this is this part of the application, and they're like, no. So, but that's what I'm happy to
You
do.
could be underestimating the town of Rochester public.
People here,
Well, good, I hope they review the application. It's just the
people
board's
here
approval.
went to MIT, NYU.
I'm not sure if the public is aware of this yet, but we've received a petition.
It beat me to it.
Well, it includes, apparently, according to the petitioners, 328 residents. And the only reason I'm raising this now is because I would anticipate, and all the planning that we're doing now is very good and it'll probably help things along. But I think there's gonna be an awful lot of group intelligence out there in terms of finding where things are. I would be surprised if there's that level of interest here that people would miss important environmental or other issues. That I think it's gonna be, I know some of the folks have already hired an attorney. I don't know if they're gonna be working on it or not, but my guess is that the public is going to be, no matter what we do, but certainly we should improve it to the extent that we can, but let's not lose much sleep over it. I think they're gonna figure out what they need to figure out. Whether, I'm not sure, I agree with Scott that they won't be able to read the application. My guess is they'll.
Oh, I never said they wouldn't be capable of reading the application. They're fully capable, they're probably smarter than I am, I'm not real smart. I'm saying that most of them just don't read the application.
My guess is they'll figure out what they need to,
Okay.
although we should make it as easy as possible, but let's make a decision and then let it go.
A member of the public just whispered in my ear that one of the things that are lacking, and I cannot guarantee, is the structural analysis.
How do you do
You mean
it?
the house-
I don't know.
On a tower
I don't
doesn't
know.
exist.
The
So
tower, you mean the tower's structural integrity?
I guess.
You
Yeah.
can't do that until you actually have a tower designed.
Okay.
Standard.
We can't do it, you gotta
Right,
pay,
the design
gotta pay
standard.
for the tower, to order the tower first.
No, somebody designed it, there's an engineer that's standard.
Right. So there's load bearing, they probably did load bearing capacity, the soils, et
We
cetera.
don't build it until if we
Right.
get denied here, why would we spend the money to buy the tower?
The code
requires-
But
We're not gonna-
it's standard design.
We provided a structural letter in actually to
Okay.
the application.
Standard design, those towers.
See, hence my point.
Okay, just mentioning it.
Okay,
Okay,
I have one more.
what you're saying is you have stuff in there. You don't
Yeah,
have to find,
we do it with every application.
it's at the end of the document, if I remember.
Tectonic does structural integrity letter, basically explaining all of that.
It's towards the end.
It's towards the end of it.
Another tab.
Huh?
Yeah, it's
Another
10,
tab.
10.
Yeah, well, we did ask for a table of
It's not
contents.
single.
FYI.
All right, all right, anything else?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Peter.
Just in terms of co-location. I think I've been thinking of co-location as other phone carriers. Is co-location, does that also include, and what would be the impact for like emergency services if they wanted to join?
We provide them rent-free space, if they so desire. They just have to pay for their utilities and they have to pay for the installation and equipment. We don't buy that for them, but they can operate on the tower rent-free.
Where would that go
one of the
relative?
three, that would be, you know, is that you don't get the three co-locators plus the county,
No, you do, the problem with that, the problem with, and I work with Ulster County a lot, and the problem's gonna be if they want to go onto this, they would wanna go higher. So for Route 145, they're gonna wanna go 20 feet higher because they've got whip antennas. We're working very closely on. a
So
number
this,
of projects.
so this tower is useless to them, they.
Can't say, no, because
Isn't
they can
there-
go higher,
Isn't there a
They don't
table
want-
you know.
Well, you just said,
But they don't want it, actually. We've dealt with them and I wish they wanted it, because I would have come here and said, guess what? They're gonna do it, your code says they don't have to go through zoning, and we would have had them zone it, and we would have been up on the air, if we would have come in as a co-locator. I pushed them for it, they said we can't use it.
And what would that look like?
Public utility.
In terms of,
Usually they use about 20-foot whip antennas, they use one or two, and that's why I wanna be at the top of it. Yeah.
so let me understand that. If they came in and said they do want to be there and they say we want to be at the top with another antenna. You're gonna tell us that you're not going to extend the tower. How does that affect what they want?
They're looking at different locations. I've already asked them, we're collaborating with them in a number of towns. Because as you know, they're upgrading their emergency services system, it's in dire need of upgrade.
Ain't there one more Worsing? I think there
Yeah,
was something in the paper that there's going to be a tower.
Socrates, they.
But definitely we're working
Socrates,
behind the highway garage, I
Rosendale.
believe.
Shandaken, a bunch of them, but the point is, I actually, after one of our last meetings, I went to Dennis Doyle. And Steve Peterson and said, okay, please just confirm, we've been talking about this for a long time. You don't need this tower, you don't want it, because it's available. I said, no, we're not going in that tower. It doesn't work for us.
they're already on the one behind Rainbow Diner, I believe.
Okay, that's the end of
Yeah,
that. Okay.
they just can't use it. I wish you could.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
All right,
We'll see you next
thank
week.
you. I hope this is your earliest meeting.
We're not finished. Let's take a break. I have about another half hour for the stuff. Let's take a 10-minute break.
You want me?
Yes. Yes. Once we start.
yeah, I don't know how to get around that.
Yeah, that's.
the
It's just a PDF with tables of contents. And then it's like, it's.
Thing is.
Really ended up not really all that much.
Oh, yeah.
So it's following,
Most of
but
it.
it's a project that I worked on.
She is. I see.
So.
Attorneys a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Administratively.
But don't.
I mean, if you're driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You have a.
Yeah.
And then everything about the project.
And you say.
You get a lot of it over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
And this.
I expect you guys are gonna be talking about this and having a pretty
And-
robust, intelligent,
I mean, they're.
I think they're.
Totally scanned.
They're gonna find shit like that. December application.
I'm surprised. At least with.
I mean, I can understand why they're saying that. God
Yeah.
bless them. One was the, it's supposed to be, one was
Yeah.
the, but.
And this is, of course, this is the photo.
What they did actually have an updated.
It's kind of.
Yeah,
You guys are gonna be, so.
What we.
Like I said,
I've been on your side, I understand it, it does take a lot of work,
It's just a PDF.
but, you know, you're obviously motivated and it's not gonna be that hard and if you need.
Dr. Jenks.
You have to find the visual,
No, we-
whatever mistakes you're
do
gonna
it
make,
work,
that if
and
there's
if you say-
ecological stuff. And
And then-
Fish and wildlife and.
Yeah, we track, so when I
Whatever
say
the
track,
issues you find interesting.
I don't mean
I have a very.
edit
full
tracking,
confidence
I
in you
mean,
and folks who listen.
strike through.
And then not
No,
like,
just something else too.
You have to manually go in and
This
like
one,
strike
understanding.
for the stuff that, like, see how final is double underlined. So you have to go to double underline new word, because you should strike through words. Deletion.
Because.
So that.
Better, well, let me. Federal regulations. Federal
Yeah, no,
regulations.
we're public documents. This is my thought, so that if we see how everything is changed.
Verizon.
And then I don't.
Find some kind of waiver, because then the co-locators will just come and say, we want to do this. That's power. You go up to 165. That's a
Response to
better law.
here.
I mean, I'll take another look at that argument, but what we've been told,
Response to comments. And then
the
the
typical way to approach this problem is to have the,
Hearing.
developer
Yeah.
basically
And then we
waive.
break all this.
So you've got, well, what's the,
It's available tonight or online.
So federal, but something, I think that the above the letters over the 9 months. This one was-
Schools from start. And I'm up to my.
Good wonder.
You're telling me
There's
that-
It's a good one, I'm up to my elbows, tomatoes now, and basil.
For sure.
And I already.
Basil. When people have problems, it's-
federal government.
When I was, when I.
Oh, no, so I gotta make this stuff real soon. I'm running out of time. I just made like, I think I put up.
I'll send out the golf.
I was taking a look at it.
Doing that too.
Like I
I
said,
think I put up
This, this.
24 stories of stuff.
The argument is, I didn't know.
And I'm not doing.
God,
God, open up some investing stuff.
I did that so from
Right, I think
2022, yeah.
As I recall,
Well, I.
it was basically legally theoretic. It was like, because regarding federal, supremacy, that. But I know of any case.
Oh my God. And
Where,
I should stay away from cars.
developer, Verizon, or AT&T, or whatever, have waived that right, and yet. Well, then think about it.
So, yeah, golfing, shooting.
Waived anything.
Yeah.
They're never, just let me,
Survey.
they're never
Uh,
going to.
grandbaby.
Yeah.
140, none of those
My
collated.
point is, I've read a lot, I've read about it, but in this case and others.
Oh,
He,
nice.
he had to take aggressive positions and he
I'm not
does
sure
the
I'm
job for
buying
you,
this
which is to
many.
pull kind of
Okay.
things together to make an argument.
Okay.
I've done it, the same thing. In this case, what we'll.
Oh,
but not on the island.
Okay.
And I'll go back and double check, but it won't be just Bob's legal argument, piecing A case
Right.
together with B
Right.
comments and then, making this argument. If you can come up with a case where the developer said, we don't want the extra 20 feet and the town.
Oh.
You know, it was like, you see one store
And
and
then.
No.
Another,
No.
opinions enforced it, that would.
one gas station.
Your son or daughter?
Some of our best friends.
Will do.
Okay.
My wife and daughter first got her first job.
Was the last, or the next to last letter?
We hadn't seen her.
She was
a month ago.
Five.
And just.
One was on the waivers.
Like,
One letter to.
Younger crowd.
Okay.
Went in charge of what's rambunctious.
Another letter, oh, I think.
This pretty short. So what do you got there? Oh, yeah, we had a tomato just like that.
Stand, he's got.
Now, that's the.
That's a fun thing.
But take a look at it.
People would never do that, get freaked out.
Yeah. Coming in, he was disagreeing with me where I said, if that scenario happened, that we would have another secret review. And that's, and they.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah, I being.
Just was taken up.
Some kind of.
another thing, have to wait for another.
All right, thank you.
Listen,
Thank you.
it's really awesome. We moved from West Reed to Hallmarks. And I
Don't
take animals there?
Actually, it showed goats in Dutchess County. My friend has all these animals.
Okay, let's rattle through this stuff real quick.
2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Okay, or a week ago.
I'm all for that.
All right, so it's the pile that I left on your desk in front of you. It's a stack of papers. The first one there should be. It says correction, secret notice of intent to serve as lead agency. You got that one? Okay, so what happened here was when the circulation letter went out for a combination of for MCRT, which is Rab Tov. The format that was used or the template that was used was what was used for Meta from like 5-6 months ago. So it actually said, seek a notice of intent to serve as lead agency for Meta, but the data underneath it was for MCRT. I forget who caught it, but somebody caught it. Maybe it was Dave who caught it. So anyway, we resent the letter of the circulation letter, correcting it to all the parties. I wanted you to know that, including, I think we sent it to Ulster County Planning Board.
Oh, yeah,
I think they were the ones who caught it.
and we still didn't get any comments.
No, we're still getting comments. So anyway, I just wanted you to know that. I wanted to get your approval for the minutes of 7:14 and 7:28. Jennifer had some comments. Zorian, you had some comments also.
Yeah, I sent.
So just send them all to Stacy. You're gonna redo yours,
I
Jennifer.
did you get it? I sent it to planning board. It's the.
I can get it, I'll get it.
It's the town of Rochester one,
I have access to the planning board email, so I can
Would you,
get it.
would
I
you
just-
mind sending your town email address out to everybody, the Stacy Bond at, or do you not want to use that, you want to use the,
I would rather use the planning board
Okay.
one for planning board and zoning board things and keep my other one for Aaron things.
okay, so
That makes
it's,
sense.
so it's the same one that was sent that Robin would use.
so
Yeah.
that's what I sent it to. And the only thing I made on the 14th, the 3 bullets at the bottom, all I did was reword it to make it look cool. I didn't change content or add anything new or anything like that. It's
All right.
pretty basic.
So, and what Stacy is doing for us, and I guess it's best practices. I guess it is best practices. Whenever we do the minutes, we're gonna attach whatever decisions we made in that meeting to the minutes.
Oh, great.
All right, so,
But I did it in the
So-
past.
all right. It may take a little while as we get used to doing all this, but that's what's gonna happen. So we got the meeting, the minutes of 7:14, which is much larger than the ones from 7:28 because it has 3 decisions attached with the meta decision, the Accord decision, and the McIntyre decision. So, let's do the 14th first.
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the minutes from.
Okay, so
July
Peter
14th.
makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Jennifer, seconds, all in favor?
I
Okay, 601. I'll entertain a motion for the minutes of 7:28 to approve those. Have a motion? Jennifer moves. Seconded by
Helena,
Helena,
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
601. All right, the next thing in your package. Meadow Lakes. If you recall, we, just a quick update on them. There's actually 2 stapled documents here. One has to do with the bonding, and the other one has to do with the road maintenance. Road maintenance is fine. Dave approved it. This Dave approved it. I just want you to have a copy of it. It's gonna go off to the to the town board for their meeting of Thursday night so they can approve it. The other one has to do with the bonding. We've talked about this once or twice. This is just a formal letter from Eric Lifton on the bonding. The total amount of the bonding is 48,644, but I told him he had to up that by 25% for inflation purposes, and also since he was, our code is strange. In the landscaping section, it says you have to have 115% of whatever it is. In the rest of the sections having to deal with road bonding, whatever, it just says make some accommodation for inflation. So I said, okay,
Okay,
so I just said 125%, we'll leave it at that, we're done. So the 48,644 goes to 60,805. So that's what this says. This one, I'd like a resolution or a
Yeah,
motion
I have
to
a
approve it.
question first. Did we have any, was there any issue with the cash for in escrow?
I checked with Aaron, it was fine with.
Good, because I'm gonna tell you, getting a letter of credit or a bond with the company, if you don't have 5 years of financials, is very, very difficult.
And that's
So,
what,
yeah,
it's also somewhat expensive. don't-
Yeah, you
Accord
pay for
Social-
1,000 and well,
The way Accord Social did it, they pledged their investment account.
yeah,
is
but it
what
can be,
it's like.
even
It
for
can be-
companies, it can be very difficult to get a bond.
Want to pledge your investment account?
Okay, my pleasure.
So anyway,
No. Hey, Jose.
I'll entertain a motion to approve, the bonding request from Eric Lipton of Meadow Lakes.
I make a motion to approve the bonding request for Meadow Lakes by Eric Lifton.
Helena,
I'll second.
Peter seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
601. Sounds like we're running numbers over here. Okay, the next one. I've talked about this before also. This was a letter that I put together. Was put together for me, and I had to put it on our letterhead. This is going to Jeff Kaplan of Ridgeford Realty.
No, do you want to do the road maintenance?
We don't have to.
We don't have to.
Okay.
It was just approved by Dave Gordon. That's it.
Got it,
Funding
right.
Resolution. Remember.
Go to
So,
the next one.
The
Okay.
one, the next one is, it says on the top, Town of Rochester Planning Board. And it's going to Dave, no, it's not going to Dave, it's going to Jeff Kaplan. And this was as a result of suspending Ridgeview Realty.
Yeah.
Right, we talked about that at this meeting. And we went through the date when they suspended, that impacts both their presence here as well as the public hearing that we had launched into. We confirmed the dates. And I wanted to put it in a resolution, but what I also did, read the last two paragraphs. Resolve further, the board stated that if or when the applicant is ready to reopen their application and applies to reappear, the board will not hear any matters till the safety plan is delivered in a fashion that the board previously indicated was necessary. So that's number one. And further, that they would not be able to come until they got us what we requested in terms of water saving devices, or they got us a bond. Now, he did send me the list of all the stuff that was water saving, all the stuff that was not. I said, that's wonderful. Before you come back, you gotta tell me that it's replaced, or you gotta give me a bond so that we can replace it when you don't do it, not if you don't do it, when you don't do it. And I attached to that the letter from Ulster County Department of Health that said that they had to have water saving devices, or else they weren't going to approve the 55 gallons a day per person. And also the engineer's report, which came from Medendak and Eggers, which said the same thing, that you needed to have water saving devices. So I attached both those letters. Don't raise your eyebrows. I attached both those letters this resolution. So I want a formal approval of this resolution. I'll entertain a
I'll make
motion.
Make a motion.
Jen makes the motion
I'll
on
second.
the resolution to be sent to Jeff Kaplan, Ridgeview Realty. Dave Roberts, seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 601. Okay, the next thing has to do with, we just talked about it, Cindy, and Jack Dawson, so you don't have to worry about that. Dave and I are gonna work on that. The next one, there's some training up in Kingston at one of the hotels up there. Which hotel? It's not the Bates Motel,
The Best Western.
Best Western, thank you. And
Free?
Erin will pay for, she said she'll pay for two, but I think I can convince her she should do three. I can't make the training on this date. It has to do with open meetings laws, agritourism. It sounds like a wonderful event. It goes into the afternoon. Freshwater regulations, kind of a summary of that. So
It's the
who
night.
wants to go?
I do.
I do, but I think.
Helena?
Oh, it's just the morning?
Well, it's just the morning. Yeah, it starts early.
7 a.m.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. You wouldn't be able to make that, would you?
ends at noon.
So Helena,
Yes,
Dave,
please.
you want to go?
I'd like to go, yeah.
Dave Roberts. Who else?
I would go.
Peter?
I actually don't have anything on that day.
I need to do these, but I can't do this because I'm out of town for work.
I'd like to do it too, but I can't. I'm out of town
Yeah.
that day. Something else at this point. Okay,
Well, if they
so
give materials, I'll bring them and we can,
that'd be wonderful. Give it out
put 'em
to
in
make
jar.
copies and we'll give it to everybody.
Sure.
And maybe whoever goes can come back and give a report to the board. Just
You wanna hear me talk some more?
absolutely, I love to hear you talk. I turn my hearing aid, you know.
You go.
Okay, so,
Department of State has online courses on most of these topics, by the way.
yes.
Yeah.
They don't have hot breakfast though.
No, they do not have hot breakfast.
They have an online hot breakfast.
7 o'clock in the morning.
So Erin is
That's
gonna make the
okay.
reservations. Erin's gonna make the reservations for us.
Okay.
The next document that you have is quite important. Dave and the small water, call it the water group, has been working on the recommendations for the low water yield areas. So David and I kicked it around, we made some changes to it, I reformatted it, reformatted it, blah, 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 blah. So I think I sent this out over the weekend or Thursday, Friday, I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but I think it's pretty good. Does anybody have a chance to read it? They want to make changes?
No, I have not.
Peter thought it was
I read it, it's good.
I read it, I liked it.
okay,
Then I'm good with it.
all
My-
right, so
Only comment or question, I guess, is in it, I think we recommend, we say something about moratoriums for. I just wanted, do we want to see that? Do we, I don't know if we,
you know what, there were a number of members of the board who thought it was important to mention the word. Whether or not the town board agrees with it, that's up to them.
okay, that's fine with me. I agree with it.
So I think moratorium is a drastic step,
Yeah,
but sometimes drastic,
yeah,
tough times create the need for drastic measures.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Drastic would be change the code. Moratoriums, in some people's minds, a cop out. It just buys time, right?
I won't
Yeah,
go
but
there.
it does kind of put a timeline on them acting.
Moratorium generally has a timeline.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right,
So
so it
it's got a moratorium. because
The historic
You can
final
do something.
moratorium is legally, they shouldn't go on for long, and towns don't do anything.
Whoa.
They pass a moratorium.
That's out of order.
You're fired.
An extension anyway, it was recent. Remember?
There's a substantial history of moratoriums being abused.
The most important single concept is that the reason to pass a moratorium is to give yourself time to do a code change. If you're not gonna do a code change,
Correct.
you don't do a moratorium.
Don't waste
It's
your
just
time.
not correct. So, but if you're gonna do a code, if you're gonna review your code, and do a code change, then a moratorium is okay. And you give yourself a certain amount of time, and if you need an extension, you do it, but it's all within, if you start straying off of a code change. If you do a moratorium, you're in trouble because you're doing the wrong thing, and you're gonna get sussed out. That's the only comment I'll make, and then you can go from there wherever you want, but. If somebody said, towns don't wanna do a code change, well, then don't do a moratorium, it's just not correct for it to, we'll just bust their chops for 9 months, that's just not the right thing to do, and it will not work.
And the assumption if we do a moratorium, is to give them the wiggle room
Yes.
to do a study and everything else. So,
Gives the town board the time to study and do a code change,
right.
that's it.
Yeah.
I also
A
think,
code change.
I also think it's in here, but it would also be helpful to have some guidance from someone regarding our role in this. If there's no moratorium, obviously, if there's a moratorium, that's one thing, but if they're not gonna do a moratorium, what are the expectations of us? Because
So my hope is that as a result of this,
we
they
need to
give
talk
it-
about
a lot of thought and a lot of discussion, and then come up with some actions.
Yeah.
An action could be, we're not doing anything,
which is, yeah,
or we are gonna do something, we're gonna apply for some funding in order to do a study. That's great. Maybe that's the time we need a moratorium. It could be, I mean, there was a simple thing that we did. We said, you can't take a single family home in some of these areas and increase it to a 2 or 3 family home,
Right.
which is allowed by code. We also said for Mickenberg, you can't do an ADU.
yeah.
Now, we could continue to do that, whether or not they change the code or not.
I don't like.
I'm not crazy about that. It's sort of hit and miss.
Yeah,
Let's deal with the issue, but we can't.
I have a crazy
And
idea.
you know what, if we had to, we'd probably be sitting here spinning our wheels.
You know me, always looking, always thinking.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to hear from Ulster County Board of Health. just because of the code, the call that I made. And they get this a lot. I don't know if Dave Gordon looked into the riparian rights, but it would be interesting to hear what they have to say, because apparently this comes up a lot. And I wonder if they have any guidance for,
It's a great, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
that'd
yeah,
be great.
Well, what I heard from the group, they
Not a
told me
crazy idea, by the way.
that Ulster County
Yeah.
Department,
logical?
Ulster County Department of Health was claiming that the right to water under your property was
Yeah.
part of the riparian law.
Riparian rights.
I mean, I'm not even a lawyer, and I said, what does that got to do with riparian rights?
Well, just
Why does it either of it have to do with the seeker review?
can't answer that, but
But-
but
I think
some
they
of us are
probably
looking.
meant Water law.
Whatever, right, but anyway, so maybe what I can do is also reach out back to James Rodden and go through my notes and get information and see if there's any documents or if I can get any more information for the board.
Now, Dave does bring up a good point with his comment. We would have been on safe legal grounds had we said with Mecklenburg that you have to do that's extra study, that extra step. But I think what convinced the board not to go that way, because you were talking about one house.
Correct.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, if it had been 2 or 3 houses they were putting up, I think I probably would have said that there was a sufficient enough number of complaints about water. There was a sufficient enough confusion in terms of the data being all over the place that we might have want to seriously consider them doing a hydrological study, hydrogeological study.
Yeah, I agree with you. And if you read the,
By seeker, not by code. We don't.
right, yeah, but if you read the 2006 study.
Yeah.
That sort of is a basis for our code, right? But if you read that 2006 study, the triggers for the additional analysis
We're,
were well above.
yeah, 5 lots, 5 homes or more, was
Yeah,
it?
so we didn't feel, or at least I didn't feel like there was anything we could point to that indicated it was necessary. There was no science
I
behind.
didn't say anything about this at the time, but I was concerned at the time. One of the reasons why this was so hard is that sometimes agencies and people, especially in politics, talk past each other, and sometimes in this case, we were actually talking past the issue. Every one of the things that I think because this is typical hydrogeological analysis. In my view, maybe I'm wrong, that you were looking at, including the 2006 study or whatever, was the level at which somebody doing a subdivision had to stop and think twice because there was, whether it was 5 lots or whatever, because there wasn't going to be a likelihood or a confidence of enough water for the subdivision. In other words, and that was also a lot of the commentary you guys were making, which is trying to help the people that were complaining about it, how to benefit their own houses by digging deeper or whatever. The purpose of a seeker review is if they do their thing, will it affect somebody else? Not how deep will they have to dig their well, and whether there's enough water for them. And frankly, and I don't understand hydrogeology very much. I don't understand groundwater analyses, but from what I heard, I didn't hear anything addressing that question. And everybody was sort of struggling, what do we do here? What do we do? And the folks were saying, we don't have any confidence that what they're doing is not going to affect our well. And regardless of what you think about that as of the seat of your pants, which is what we ultimately, I think, decided it on, I didn't hear any of these studies that address that issue. Like,
I think the 2006 study did.
that said, if you have a certain number of homes,
Yeah.
how far is the plume going to be drawn down so that other folks are gonna have problems?
Cone of depression.
Not in so many words, but they don't talk about cone of depressions, but they talk about it created a framework to understand when a hydrogeologic study would be required based on the local geology, based on how.
But wasn't it for the suitability? Because my prejudice is that when you deal with the particularly things that are within the purview of the Department of Health, their general job, both on septic and on water, is to make certain that when somebody develops a house, that house has basically functional septic and functional water. That's the way, in my experience, which does go back a few decades, that's the way the Board of Health thinks. And if you start talking about more broad environmental impacts, that's just not what.
Well, I think what Jennifer
what
Jennifer is getting at was in the Winkley study, he makes very clear reference to a gating factor for do a hydrological study, hydrogeological
Yeah.
study. It was 5 or more in low yield areas and 10 or more everywhere else in the town of
But like,
Rochester.
the question
It was
of-
very,
The question
and
of
that
raising
was-
is that for the benefit of the neighbors or is that for the
The
benefit
neighbors.
of, because most of the things that fall under this health.
hydrogeological study assumes you're monitoring wells on somebody else's existing property. It's not just
That
taking-
study was to look at
Okay.
water availability within the.
I mean, this board has a long way to go to make sure we know that we have a lot of leeway when it comes to seeker.
You do. And one of the reasons.
I think the overwhelming reason why we didn't do it in this case was it was one lot.
Fair enough, but that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
what we were
like-
talking about was that the incremental effect of allowing that to happen 3 times.
To
was the-
one lot situations.
It was the gate in another situation where you might
Yeah.
be subdividing 3
Well, and-
into 3 lots, right?
I'm
That was
making
the
the
whole
point that in
problem.
general,
Deal.
when you deal with issues under the purview of the Board of Health. Their engineering analyses traditionally have not been about protecting the broader environment. It's really been about, it's almost back to the sixties. When you're worried that the developers are cheating people and you're trying to make sure, almost as a matter of consumer protection, that the particular subdivision that they're creating doesn't screw up the people that are buying those houses.
I absolutely agree with you that that's what they.
And that's what I thought I heard on the
And
hydrogeology,
because-
but if I'm wrong, great.
No, particularly since the Board of Health will even say, well, how much water do you have in the column? They count that, how, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That's only for that house.
Because they
But
don't want
that's-
the situation where
Where
developers
the
come
developer
in,
come in.
subdivide, leave. and
But
then
that
people are like,
hydrogeologic study, make it clear, I want to be clear, said specifically, here's what you should do in low yield well
For the
areas.
purpose of protecting the broader aquifer,
Yes.
for the purpose of
Yes.
protecting that
Yeah.
particular subdivision.
No, the broader.
Winkley's work was about protecting the aquifer for the town.
Good.
The
Now, one
the
could
5
say-
or more lots is a common, it's the major minor subdivision distinction that's in code everywhere.
And that's
And
typically,
that's what he chose,
and
right?
that,
Because that's accepted is,
and that goes back to like the sixties, and that that was sort of a shorthand for how do we protect the subdivision from the
Yeah, it's how the-
unscrupulous developer.
when's it big enough to be? But Ulster County, I mean, I've had my problems.
Ulster County has had,
Health Department, but
mound
uh,
systems.
these raised bed septics, I
Yeah,
don't know if there's
yeah.
been decades of argument of.
Right.
Most counties don't allow those except for retrofitting problems. But
Protecting
the famous Dean Palin got us that. But
Hey, hey,
but-
hey.
but the which I had
You
arguments
make
with,
that point for.
but Ulster County. Ulster County's capable, they have a protocol now on former orchard properties. Where in concern for the greater neighborhood, because there's residual contamination
Right.
from
Pesticides.
pesticides and herbicides used in orchards.
So you tell me Ulster
So
County.
They are
Department of Health
capable of
is now in the
proactive.
business of watching out for the broader environment, the
They-
broader neighborhood when
they can
subdivisions
do it.
get approved.
They can do it.
Let us have a thought.
But on the low yield areas, the essential question when talking to the author of the study was, he doesn't stand up for that low yield area analysis today
Anymore.
anymore. And he recommends the town needs to update that with somebody.
And he'd be willing to do the study.
He would certainly be willing to do it.
I think that as a group, the water group, I think we made a rational, science-based decision. For our decision and our recommendations to the board, and I am sure most of us were thinking legally, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I was thinking about. On either side, somebody could come back and disagree with, whichever way we voted, somebody could disagree with that and litigate it. And so I was certainly thinking about that, like, is this defensible in court? Did we make a sound scientific
Rule of
decision? And
reason.
I think we did. I think
You made a decision
we
not to
might,
be part of the
we could
study.
be wrong.
So, but.
It could be wrong, but it was based in science and it was based on research, and I think we did. a
Well,
good
Well, it was
The-
based on
the-
the impact of one home.
Yes,
But
yes.
again, but it's the impact, but you're looking at a study that actually looked at the environmental impact and you just sort of interpolated that down to one home and made a rule of reason based on that, as opposed to what I was worried about is that all these studies were just based on how do we protect the subdivision and not how do we protect the aquifer.
Oh.
But you're telling me it's about the aquifer,
What I
then.
would say is that when it comes to hydrogeologic stuff, tell me what you guys think about this as geologists, but it is inherently kind of nebulous, and you can do all of the desktop research you want, but you can't know what's actually happening under your feet until you drill there. And
Exactly.
so there's never gonna be research or science that's gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen unless you do the field work.
You know, Zurian and I are old enough, literally and figuratively, to remember 2019.
To remember 2019.
That was pre-COVID.
There was a project,
Yeah.
it was a
I'm
project done by Glenn
Oh, it's
Diamond,
like you're too old to
by a
remember.
guy by the name of Glenn Diamond. It was I think it was 3 houses. Terry Ringler was the surveyor, and Mr. Neely was the engineer who said that there's plenty of water there. Well, that subdivision is exactly where some of the people who appeared went into. So
It's inherent in
if that
science.
happens again in that area, 2 or 3, I think we're gonna have to take a long, hard look at a hydrogeologic study.
Agreed.
And I remember sitting here, Zorian was here, sitting here, and almost coming to fisticuffs with Terry Ringler around the issue of water.
You and Terry have a
We
history.
just have a history. And so they produced, the attorney at that time said, we'll just get an engineer to say it's
Right.
okay.
Right, well, yeah,
And so we got an engineer.
yeah,
The same guy who wrote for Dawson.
yeah.
You know.
Okay,
this.
I need a resolution on this, this being the letter to, so this is the letter to Jeff Kaplan. Motion made by Jennifer, second by
Helena.
Helena. All in favor of this resolution?
I,
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 601. And I think that's it. Hold on, let me just make sure. Now that I have a copy, yes. So
I make the motion to adjourn.
Did you do the resolution?
Oh, he is.
Hold on.
Hold it.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead,
Wasn't
Peter.
that for the water?
Water.
You did the Jeff Kaplan one, I thought you meant for the water.
Oh, for the water, I'm sorry,
Okay.
this is for the water.
Okay.
We did the Jeff Kaplan.
Right, that's what
This is
I thought.
water.
So
Oh,
who
right,
just did that?
So Jennifer, you made a resolution for the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who
I'm old enough
seconded
to-
it?
Helena.
Okay.
Okay, you made the motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Who seconded?
Please.
Helena.
Can we have discussion about this?
Hey, hang on.
So are you having anything to say about this?
Dave Roberts.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
6-0. 6-0.
Oh, I did.
I'm expecting the other one, and I hold it.
Did you deal with Dean?
I dealt with Dean.
Miserable.
He was great when he talked. I had him in,
Yeah, yeah.
at draw.
Like that.
Jennifer, there's an oil and gas
Oh,
show,
God.
which I can't remember anymore, but you know, when it's
I
with
meant,
oil and
it's
gas.
just like, when I was on the planning board in another, in my hometown.
And then.
Oh, no, it was like-
Oh, blah, 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 blah.
The planning board chair is good friend.
Yeah,
and,
right,
you know,
right,
you know,
right, right,
like,
right.
it's like, what's up with these race
There's,
Let me look into it, so I do some research, to find out how funny, but Ulster lousy.
data, but until you.
And it was to overcome bad soil. According to.
No, I.
About the race.